This is how I win.
This is no democracy. It is a dictatorship.
Hate. Double hate.
Loathe entirely. You're out of order! You're out of order!
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
Life is cruel.
I don't give a what the deal was. The deal is now changed. Either you stay or you go. It's up to you. End of discussion.
And you're muted.
And I'm muted.
0.0 seconds. I think that's the new record.
Shut up, Kirk. Welcome to episode 112 of my personal hell. Koho said we were thinking about topics. Koho goes, villains would be cool. We can like redo villains, and we haven't done villains and have a whole new panel and have a whole new take on it. And it's like, yeah, but what if they include like people that are not like great villains? Well, we got this episode. This episode's here for you. You'll get people that probably couldn't be like real villains' henchmen or even like wipe the henchman's ass. So, in this list, this is arguably some of the worst list I've seen for YLS, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of the worst I've seen, and I watched a lot of stuff. My last 4 days, I crammed, and I shouldn't have. We're got Kirk on the show. Kirk, last time we saw you, you haven't been on since you hosted, right?
No, all the time ago.
Okay, so it's only been 2 weeks, but you know that's
Miss me?
Yeah, actually, we'll see how your list does, but more than some. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this episode. I made a few specific choices for my list that I'll talk about that made it probably good. Mine's probably one of the lists you're talking about, and that's okay. I'll explain why it happened the way it did. But it's going to be fun. I got a lot of cool stuff to talk about.
Oh, believe me, you're not the one. We got Jack on the panel. How are you doing, Jack? You've been on a couple times. I still don't think you like movies very much, but and the ones you do are very weird. But how do you think you're going to do tonight?
I mean, I'm alive. That's more than I can say about my internet right now. But no, we'll see. We'll see how I do. I feel like I picked good villains. I mean, I guess we'll see what Cody thinks. But no, I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this since it was announced. So I mean, I'm very, very excited for this one.
Yeah, there's some people that will do better than others. Then we got Bar. Why are you wearing a hat and glasses? And you're muted, dumbass. If you laughed at me, you're wrong.
Well, Cody, to answer your question, the reason is because some people, specifically you, would probably call me the villain of this show.
Possible. And we got a first-time person on the show. We got Jake. Jake messaged me out of the blue. I've never met Jake before, but he's like, hey, I know of villains, and send me a list. I'll be the judge of that, but how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'm worried that you're like in code specifically talking about my list this whole time, but that's okay. I'm ready to defend it. I feel pretty strongly about my choices, and yeah, I'm here to talk about movies.
Listen, you're not the only one. There's choices on everybody's list that I'm like, what? Okay,
That's
so how
okay.
the show works. Everybody brought in a top 10 list of their favorite villains, or the villains that they thought did bad things, or I guess just said some bad words in some films, and they're like, "Oh man, that's really mean," and then put them on the list. We're gonna go around. Kirk's gonna start off with 10 through 8. But I just want to announce this right here, right now. Next week, I personally, because I'm in charge of 2 movies, I'm giving away 2 movies next week on the show. I'm not hosting. Boatman's hosting, but I will come in at the end of the show. And if you're and if you were one of our followers to hit us 50, you'll be spun on a wheel and they'll be contacted to get free movies. So please be there to know if you win. I want confirmation that you're in the chat next week, and if you're not, then I'm just going to move on because I want to talk to you about your movie. Kirk, take it away. 10 through 8. I'm so excited.
Okay. Just as a preface for my list, I made some choices. I was going through some rough drafts, and I decided eventually I made some cutoffs. First of all, I said no fandom because you can just easily load fandom villains up, and that could be its own list. For the same reason, I said no creatures, no monsters. Made the list more challenging for me, more of an exercise for me, more fun for me. And I think all those other characters that I cut off will probably be talked about by other people, so I'll get a chance to talk about them. And that's fine. But it made for an interesting list.
It's like he's been around the block a couple times and knows how the show works, so he can save some weird choices for himself. I get you.
My 10 through 8, my number 10 is Michael Fassbender as Edwin Epps in 12 Years a Slave.
Really helps if I have the banners up.
My number 9 is Robin Williams as Rainbow Randolph in Death to Smoochie. And my number 8 is Faye Dunaway as Diana Christensen in Network. Okay. Edwin Epps. I debated whether or not to put this on the list because just of who and what the character is. I felt like just putting him on a movie villain list might be trivializing the subject matter. But I did want to put him. That's why I put him at 10 because I kind of want him separated from everything else because it's a different kind of villain. But Michael Fassbender's performance in this movie is just mind-blowing. What he brings to that character and just that life and that culture and what he shows about it. This movie in general, I think, is just one of the best portrayals of Annabelle himself that's ever been made. Just the most realistic and just shows how dehumanized it is for everybody involved. I love how Fassbender, this character, it's just such a sad, pathetic character. He has nothing going for him. The only thing he has is the power and control he has over his slaves, and he's so insecure even in that. He's so afraid to even lose that, and he's such just a shell of a human being. But he tries to put himself out there as like that genteel, Southern gentleman, and you just see what a complete farce and facade it is. And Fassbender is just so great in that role. Number 9, Robin Williams, Rainbow Random, Death to Smoochie. I know this movie isn't beloved. I like it, I think, more than a lot of people do. But I love Robin Williams. I think this is just such a great role for him. And his comedic, his manic style, just that idea. The whole premise of the movie is like children's television is like this seedy underworld. Is so great, and he's so good in it. Just watching his him having all the power and control of this world and just falling apart, and just watching how he just devolves into the shell of a human being. Just the rocket ship cookies and Safari, mother effer, Safari. So many great lines, so many great moments. This is honestly, I know I'm going to upset a lot of people. This is my favorite Robin Williams performance. This is when he was doing he was doing Insomnia. He was doing 1 Hour Photo, and I love him in this so much. It's so much fun. And my number 8 is Faye Dunaway's Diana Christensen Network. Not somebody you necessarily think about as a villain, and I think that's the point of the character. What's terrifying about her is she's such an awful person, and she wields so much power, and she's so upfront about it, and she's so charming. She has that scene where I'm blanking on the guy's name, the guy from Sunset Boulevard. They're having that conversation. And she just tells him, I'm a selfish person. I'm a bad person. I only care about myself. I only care about my career. I'm bad in bed because I don't care about anybody else but myself. And he's like, okay. And he leaves his wife for her after she tells him all that. That's just how seductive and charming and dangerous she is. And I mean, through the end, I'll spoil the movie. She has somebody murdered for good TV ratings. But you really you as a viewer almost get sucked into her and just her whole persona and her world, and she makes you think it's okay what she's doing when it absolutely is not. It's a great performance and a great villain.
Okay. I love when somebody hosts the show because they know how to bar at things that people can't have any response at, so it's really good. So yeah, great choice at number 10. Again, 10, I allow some weird choices to be placed. And this is not even a weird choice. I think this is a correct choice. It just hasn't caught the villainous stuff because it's such a recent. This movie is one that I watched recently. I know probably the only time I will watch it. It's super hard to watch for me. I feel like this movie is very uncomfortable. It's just that time period is always so hard to watch in films, anyways. But yeah, great choice of villain. Okay. I understand where you're going with on this. Like, as a character, like of a villain, sure, maybe 9, not a chance. Best Rob performance, sir. The audacity of you.
I said my favorite. I said my favorite.
That's just crazy to me. But it makes sense because you don't like Joy, so like the other movies that he like brings laughs, you're like, oh god, Mr. Class Clown here wanted to make us laugh. Get on my face. That's you. And this is one I respect a lot because this is the same pencil. I always do a correct list at the end of the show. The one that I always bring up is not on there is Jenny from Forrest Gump because I think she's one of the best movie villains of all time. This is also one you don't fully think about, when you don't grasp, but this is there. Like she's all about herself and she does whatever it takes for her character to achieve. So it's a nice out of the box there villain, just like Jenny. Next we're gonna go to Jack.
All right,
Jack's wife.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. My number 10 is Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. My number 9 is Darth Vader from the original Star Wars trilogy. And my number 8 is Anton Chigurh. Oh, Bar didn't yikes it. Okay. My number. So Gaston. Yeah, no. So Gaston is my favorite animated movie villain of all time. And I want to shine some light on that. So no, he's just an incredible movie villain. Just he's what you said about whatever her name is from Network, where she's all about herself. Take that and multiply it by 100, because that's what Gaston is. He is only for himself. He only cares about Gaston and what Gaston wants. He straight up has Maurice gonna be committed to whatever the asylum, just so that he can marry the girl that he wants. Like he is a terrible human being, and some movie villains, they don't have to have like world-ending plots or anything like that. They just have to be terrible people to be great villains, and that's what Gaston is. My number 9 is Darth Vader. Possibly the most iconic movie, one of the 3 most iconic movie villains, I think, ever. And I don't know, like, he's just, when you watch the original trilogy, he's just absolutely terrifying. Anytime he's on screen, you're for the first time when you watch Empire Strikes Back, your blood runs cold. When the doors in Cloud City open and you see him at the end of the table, you're just like, oh shit. No, but he's incredible. And then obviously the line at the end of Empire is one of the most iconic lines in any movie ever, and it's just incredible. And then Anton Chigurh, possibly one of the 3 scariest villains I've ever seen on screen. Just it doesn't seem like he's human, because you look at him and there is absolutely no emotion or compassion behind those eyes. He is just a remorseless killer who, well, that's all he does. And it's anytime, like the coin toss, one of my favorite movie moments of all time. And no, I'm tired. I worked till 2 a.m. last night. So I'm just gonna stop talking now because I'm not really making a whole lot of sense. But whatever. No, great villain. Love him.
Okay. When you say you're going to stop talking, continue talking, you throw my brain for a loop. Okay. Gaston in Beauty and the Beast, sure. I wouldn't say he's like. There are other Disney villains that I rank a lot higher than Gaston because Gaston, at the end of the day, is an idiot. Like, he doesn't even accomplish half the stuff he wants to accomplish. Like, he just sings about it, yells about it, screams about it, but doesn't do anything, like, at all. Like, Scar, Jafar, and Ursula at least accomplish a fraction of what they want to do. Gaston's like, woman, now, no, okay, and has to move on. The other one I have a problem with is Star Wars Darth Vader. If you want to pick a villain from Star Wars, why don't you pick Palpatine? Because Palpatine's evil from start to finish. The problem with your movie is he's redeemed. He is no longer a good guy. He's no longer a bad guy. He saves his son. So that's great and all, but you lose the evil and mystique of Vader once you do that. He redeems from that side. So again, I'm not saying villains can't be redeemed, but they don't make my ultimate list if they're nice at the end of the day. What he should have done is pick Luke and dunked him down the shaft, and then we would have had a better argument. And then Anton Chigurh, what hasn't been said about No Country for Old Men and him? He's the only part of that movie that I actually really like. To be honest with you, I don't think the overall movie is like one of my favorites. And the more it gets talked about, the more I want to just shoot myself. But yeah, like that air gun, one of the most terrifying things. And if we talk weapons, like that could be top tier because that thing is terrifying. So yeah, not a bad list. You have two that I just meh. If you don't have the other things higher. All right, Bar. Read off your AF5 top 100 of your new villains you picked off.
I mean, you're not wrong yet. My number 10 is Antonio Salieri from Amadeus. My number 9 is Lonesome Rhodes from A Face in the Crowd. And my number 8 is Mary Tilford from The Children's Hour. Didn't think so. Cool. So Antonio Salieri. We talked a lot about Amadeus the last time I was on. He's just such a complex villain. I thought you were shaking your head at me for a second.
No, just Joseph. Joseph being wrong.
Which is fair.
Joseph being wrong like last week. He's just
except he won. And he still beat Boatman. So Salieri, very complex villain. Somebody who realizes that someone's better than him and he can't stand it. And the lengths that he goes to just to destroy this person's life. It's very, very very complex character, but a lot of darkness to him. My number 9 is Lonesome Rhodes. Lonesome Rhodes in A Face in the Crowd. He's basically a con man, but the height that he gets to and the way that he just manipulates people, the way he just uses a wholesome charm to him and a relatability, it's really kind of terrifying when you get to like the core like sliminess of the character. Just the way that he manipulates and like kind of like gets people to do what he wants in order to get to the heights that he gets to, almost getting like political powers. It's really terrifying when you think about it. And Mary Tilford, this kid is a bitch. This kid ruins the lives of 3 people, blackmails someone into doing that for her, and is just the most manipulative little bitch I've ever seen in film. This kid deserves every spanking that she ever will get.
My word. Kid, calm the fuck down. Okay.
If you watch the movie, you will be on my side.
Yeah, that's one I didn't get to because it's at 8. You raised it, but not high enough, obviously. Okay. This being at 10 and no one else having it is kind of just insulting to me. Like, I feel like this is one of the best villains of all time, especially after a rewatch. Like, holy shit. Like, hey, you're dying over there? Keep pumping it out. Let's go. We can go all night, and just lets him basically die there while pretty much juicing him out of everything he's got left. Facing the crowd, I just basically called this Andrew Barr winning the Warzone singles title. Like, a lot of just fame went to his head, and just like, you don't even know who he is anymore. So I don't even know if that's like a villain at that point. I just look at Barr and say, man, you just got power. You're good, buddy. No, I love this movie, and I love this. This movie has changed. When I was younger, I used to watch the Andy Griffin Show with my grandparents. It has changed. Anytime I see a rerun of that show, I can't look at Andy Griffith the same way. You are not that man. You are not a good individual. It's actually a really good choice. I suggest a lot of people watch this. It was on HBO Max for a while, but his transformation in this movie is crazy. From where he's like over the top, like as just a singer, to where he goes into like this. His eyes even change, like how he looks. It's great. It's a great movie. Go check it out. And apparently this girl's a bitch and needs a spanking. So the youth of America, what am I saying? Okay. All right. Jake, welcome to the show. Give us your 10, 9, and 8.
Okay, my list, I was kind of aiming for just different types of villains, and all ones that I completely love. But I wanted to hit a bunch of different the villain types. So at number 10, I have Eric Killmonger from Black Panther, played by Michael B. Jordan. At number 9, I have Derek, that's Brandon's brother from Step Brothers, played by Adam Scott. And at number 8, I have Caesar from Bound, played by Joey Pantoliano. Joey Pants. Yeah, I'll just call him Joey Pants from now on. Okay, so I wanted to pick I just decided I'm going to put an MCU villain on here, and I figured out that I think Eric Killmonger is the best MCU villain. I would say that. I think the thing that makes him so great is that Black Panther isn't just a movie about a guy in a panther suit running around kicking ass. It's a movie about a futuristic city in the center of Africa. And that's a weird fucking concept. You know what I mean? Like, I think what Ryan Coogler did was he took all the weirdness of the concept of there's a future city in the center of Africa and they let slavery happen. They let all this shit happen. And he poured it all into the villain of the movie, which is what makes the movie interesting. That's the whole reason the movie is interesting, I think. So at number 9, I went for a comedy villain because I think wanted to pick a comedy villain. With all due respect to Darth Vader, I think that Derek has the best villain entrance of all time, which is him bullying his wife during a rockapella cover of Sweet Child of Mine with his family. Right there, you just know everything you need to know about this guy. And yeah, you even hate his kid, looking at his kid. He's like a little drama kid. It's just a great introduction, and it sets you up to really root against this guy. When he gets punched in the face and falls out of a treehouse, you really just like, yeah, like, And at number 8, I picked Caesar from Bound, played by Joey Pants. The reason that I picked Caesar was because I wanted to pick a low status villain, a villain who is like constantly actually in over his head, which I don't really have another one of those on my list. In a way, Caesar, he's a low-level mobster who's getting conned by his girlfriend and this elaborate scheme that flies out of control. And basically, he's in his own Safdie Brothers movie, is what I love about it. It's so tense. And my favorite moment, I think, of Caesar's is he says to his ex-girlfriend, what did she do to you? Referring to her lesbian lover. And she says back, everything you couldn't. And it genuinely hurts him. His feelings are hurt. He is deflated. The one moment that he had status in the movie, he doesn't have status anymore. He's like, wow, like that genuinely hurts my feelings. I did not want to hear that. So yeah, that's my 10, 9, and 8.
Okay. What an entrance to make on YLS. Good job. Okay. So Killmonger, best villain MCU. Ha! I laugh at you, sir. There's a man named Thanos, and he has a glove, and in Infinity War, he's 10 times the man that Killmonger ever was. I get like his entrance and who he is and like how he shows up, great. But I wish he was around more because I think he was a good villain for that time. But there's just a lot of this movie I just don't love. He's probably the better part of the movie for me. It just, when they finally clash, it's complete dog shit, and we all agree on that. I think the CGI.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's real bad.
It just sucks that the ending could have been, because the battle that they have when he takes over is actually like a good, like, this your king, like that moment when he's beating him down. That's a sweet moment, but he doesn't actually, like, it doesn't live up to that. This is one we can get on board with. This is an interesting choice, not a lot of people, but Step Brothers is one of my favorite movies of all time. It was in my top 100. I think Step Brothers is absolutely brilliant, and I think Derek is a good part of that. You're right. When he gets punched out of the treehouse, I still celebrate. Help shoulder pain, Derek. If you lick my asshole, it's just so good. Like, I love when he's like, they're all crying at the dinner table. And it's like, this is our fault. Like, of course it's your fault. You guys are idiots. You're terrible. Like, this is all you. Like, no reassurance, whatever, just puts it on him. And I'm pretty sure they wrecked their car. And if you're really interested, that child that was in the back seat grew up and turned into Andrew Barr. So that's actually a fact. They look very similar. Look them up on Google Images. You can see it. All right. That was great. Oh, and then Caesar and Bound. I've seen Bound. I did 96 last year, and I thought Bound was okay. I wasn't absolutely in love with it. When you call it a Safdie brother kind of thing, not my kind of. Like, I didn't think it that tense.
I think he's in his own Safdie Brothers movie, basically.
That's fair. I agree with that stake on it. I wouldn't put him in my top villains, but I thought the movie was okay for me. Yeah, so not a bad start. Now we get to take out the punching gloves. Bar gets to respond back to me and say some mean things to people. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, Cody.
Not yet. We didn't start. That's a penalty. We're going to start with Kirk. What is your 7?
My number 7 is another one's kind of out of left field. It is Barry Keoghan as Martin Lang in The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Now I'm going to kind of tap dance around this a little bit because I know this is a movie a lot of people haven't seen, and part of the appeal of the movie, at least for me, is like how things are revealed. So I don't want to spoil that for everybody. Basically, what I say is, imagine if Napoleon Dynamite threatened to kill your family, and you had to take him seriously because you realized he could do it. That's basically what this character is. And the beauty of the movie is it starts out like I had seen The Lobster first. That was the first Yorgos movie I'd seen. And I came into this, and it starts out with that some kind of tone, that real super dry humor, and you think you're getting that same movie. And then it takes a left turn quick, and it doesn't really give you a lot of time to catch up with it. And a lot of that revolves around who this character is. And it's just such a crazy villain because, like I said, I think it's a perfect description. It's like Napoleon Dynamite, but he's super dangerous and super he befriends the doctor who operated on his dad when his dad died. It tries to get the doctor to take his dad's place as a father figure. When the doctor pushes away and says, "Okay, you killed somebody in my family. I'm going to kill somebody in yours." And like I said, the movie plays out in a way. When that moment happens, because where you're at in the movie and the tone of the movie so far, your first instinct is to laugh at it. You think it's a joke, and then you realize it's not, and it gets scarier and scarier. Joseph, you're right. This movie is gross and disturbing, but I love it. And he's just such a great villain. Like I said, he's weird, and it still has that throughout that real dry that Yorgos Lanthimos kind of humor, but it's very dark. And it's a hard movie to draw a beat on. Like, you don't know how to feel when it's over, because a lot of different things happen and the tone changes a lot, but in a good way. And like I said, it all kind of revolves around this character.
Yeah. So that was the perfect way to describe it. I was watching it yesterday. I was just like, oh, like, this is such an out there kind of choice or out there kind of movie. For one, the way Yorgos shouldn't be a director that works for me at all, but works for me in every aspect. I don't There's not a real movie of his that I hate. I love Killing of a Sacred Deer. I like The Lobster. I love The Favorite. I may be forgetting the other one. Is there another one?
Dogtooth?
Haven't seen that one, so maybe I hate that one. I don't know. But no, this is great. Napoleon Dynamite threatens to kill your family and believes it. Like it's disgusting, it's disturbing, but all the performances work. And his performance, there's a scene that I will not tell, but like it made my stomach. It still hurts my stomach to this day. It's just But yeah, great choice. Great choice. If you're going out there, at least you're going out there and you're picking some good things. Everybody else on Killing of a Sacred Deer, again, don't try to spoil anything about it. But how do you guys feel about this villain?
Haven't seen it.
Well, what's this actor's name? Barry Keoghan?
You're muted, Kirk.
Keoghan. Keoghan?
Yes.
Keoghan?
Yeah, I looked it up. Yeah. This guy, he's got a face, like a real, good luck. He uses it. It's great. Great face. Like
that needs to be punched. Yeah.
He looks like someone. Okay, this is going to be kind of mean. He looks like someone who got plastic surgery to disguise himself as someone else. You know what I mean? Like in some sort of dystopia where you have to, he's an interesting looking guy.
Jack, have you seen it?
I have not.
And I love this movie too.
You might want to drop and come back. You're breaking up. Okay. So, Kirk, what is your number 6?
Okay. Dogtooth, by the way, not a Cody movie at all. You can skip that one. My number 6 is the most traditional villain I have on my list because I didn't have just anybody. Like I said, I was going for some, picks you don't normally think of. But I wanted to have one that was just a bad guy, and I went with Clarence Boddicker, Kurtwood Smith, in RoboCop. This is just such a fun villain. I love the fact, first of all, that he doesn't look like just some gang lord. He looks like Kurtwood Smith. He looks like the dad from that 70s show. And but he's still so scary and so bloodthirsty and dangerous. And he Kurtwood Smith's famous for playing dads, and he plays this character kind of just like a pissed off dad. Like he's just mad all the time, and the gangs like his gang is his kids. He's always yelling at them, and just he's just fed up. And I love the moments, the OCP guys, think they can control him, and you find out they're playing checkers and he's playing chess. And when you get that moment, even though you hate him, you kind of hate the OCP guys more. And when he takes them down, you feel good about it. And he just has so many great lines like, "Can you fly, Bobby?" And Bitches Leave might be one of the all-time greatest, iconic lines in an action movie ever. And just when he's with the gun, just so many great little moments he has when he hits the guy that's melting and just doesn't care about it. Just a fun, just my favorite, 80s and 90s era action movie, mustache trolling villain. You can't do much better than this guy.
So I watched this today. Gosh, this movie's so much fun. I think I just didn't watch it the right time the last time I watched it, because I've seen it a couple times, but it's never hit for me like it hit for me this time watching it. I just love the over-the-topness of this. So this is what the 80s does well with action, where they don't do well with other things that we may talk about later. But they just do so well with this over-the-top action. I honestly, it was tough. If I had to choose a villain in this movie, it's kind of hard to choose between him and Jones. I can't think of a movie, because they're both just two of the biggest assholes in the face of the planet. And how graphic this movie actually is.
So many blood squibs.
Oh wow! This movie, I just love the giant sniper rifle. I just love how quotable this movie is and how ridiculous this movie is. And I can't because it's when I was born. But seeing Red Foreman carrying around a giant fucking sniper rifle, and I just want him to say "dumbass" just once at somebody and then shoots it. It's so good. This movie just went so far up on my list on this watch. Great choice. I'm glad you put it on your list. Made me rewatch it. Everybody else on Clarence from RoboCop.
Haven't seen it.
Dick Jones, sure.
Oh my goodness.
I haven't seen it either.
How did you win a title?
Come on, guys.
This is one of my all-time favorite movies. I think that he's equally hilarious and terrifying, which is the perfect thing for this movie. I just can't say enough. I know that he based a lot of his look on the Nazi from where the banality of evil was coined. So he looks like this kind of office drone guy, but he's just crackling with manic energy and rage, and it's so much fun. I completely agree. I'm glad you picked it.
Yeah, it's a super strong choice. Okay, what is your next one, Coach?
My number 5 is Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus and Gladiator. This is one of my all-time favorite villain performances. I think it's an all-time travesty in the Oscars that he didn't win Best Supporting Actor for this. He's so good, just chewing the scenery in all the best ways as Commodus. And what I love about this character, though, as his core, is even though he achieves literal world domination, he's just like a sad, pathetic kid whose dad didn't love him enough. And he just wants that so bad. If he can't get it from his dad, he's going to force the entire civilized world to give that love and affection to him. And you see that in his relationship with his sister, that weird kind of incestuous relationship he has, where he wants to reach out, he wants to love, he doesn't know how to get it, and then his relationship with his nephew, where he kind of clings to him at the same time he threatens to kill him, and just that jealousy he has for Maximus, because Maximus got that love and admiration from his father, and just how those just such petty feelings just kick off all this stuff that affects the entire planet, or at least the entire Western world. And I just love that so much about his characters. He's so scary and terrifying. I love those scenes where he's watching the stuff he does when he's watching the gladiator fights and everything. It's so good. But you just see him he's just a sad little boy who does all these horrible things. And it's a great, another a perfectly written character, a perfectly performed character.
Yeah, I feel like Crow gets the credit from this movie, but I honestly think Joaquin Phoenix is giving an outstanding performance as this, because I don't think you get as good of a Russell Crowe performance from this if he doesn't have that counterpart against him. Just his little speeches and how he handles things, and he seems very meek and timid and not can't handle itself. But when he switches that switch and sentence people to death. Am I not merciful? Yeah, so he's just so good to me. I love this. Again, I love the movie, but his performance is absolutely incredible. Everybody else on Gladiator. Well, comments from Gladiator.
I think that if you watch Game of Thrones, I think that Joffrey owes a lot to Commodore, or is his name Commodore?
Commodus.
Yes, Commodus. When I rewatched Gladiator, I was like, oh, where have I seen this before? And totally I love Joffrey as a character too, but he totally studied Joaquin Phoenix for that. I have little doubt.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. Commodus, I'm also upset that Joaquin Phoenix didn't win the Oscar for that movie. I think he's incredible. Yeah, no, Commodus, great villain. Almost made my list.
And I haven't seen it.
You're lying.
I haven't seen it.
How?
You've never seen Gladiator?
No.
I'm more shocked by RoboCop, honestly. Get on that.
It's just, this man is walking around right now as our Warzone singles champion. And you haven't seen the movies that should show up in 80s and 2000s and Oscar ones. Oh my god! Wow,
I'll tell you how, Cody. Dumb luck.
Wikipedia. Okay. Do you watch films? I don't even know if you like movies. Okay. We're gonna go. What's your 4, Kirk?
My number 4 is a little bit more obvious pick, and it's probably going to get yikes. Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Oh, okay. Yeah, she is. Again, she's talked about all the time as one of the great villains, and deservedly so. This is another character. I think it's such a subtle performance where you're not sure if she's on like a power trip with these people or she honestly thinks she's doing the right thing. And my belief is that it's both. I think subconsciously she does get that like rush from controlling these people that she has power over. But I bet you if you hooked up to a lie detector test, she would tell you that she thinks she's doing the right thing and she's doing a good job and she's a good nurse and she's good at her job. And that's what's so great about her is that there's no, there's like I said, I mentioned this term before, there's no mustache twirling. She's not like, look at all these horrible things I'm doing. Like she could tell you, like, there's scenes where she's in the meetings with like the board of directors of the hospital, and they're asking her opinion. She's like, yeah, here's what has to be done. I think this, and they all believe her. They trust her. She's a good nurse. She has experience and everything. And just there's just something about those characters when they're in a position of where they're supposed to be helping vulnerable people like that. And people who can't help themselves, and you're the person who's there to take care of them and to watch out for them, and you manipulate them and use them like that. There's just such a depth of like evil to that. And again, like she does it without admitting, I think, even to herself how evil she is. And like I said, it's very well done. It's another great performance. It's very subtle, but she's a fantastic villain.
Yeah. One of my favorite arguments I've ever gotten in with a friend ever is she's just doing her job. Like, leave the girl alone. Like, I get it, she's doing her job, but some things need to be done in the hospital that needs to be changed. One of my favorite scenes ever is the voting for the World Series game. And he goes around, come on, don't you want to watch a baseball game? Don't you? And raise their hand. I'm sorry, voting closed. Blah, blah, blah. And just the straight face she delivers everything. While Jack Nicholson has got the over animation, it just works so well together. Like, he just wants to rear off and just beat the hell out of the woman, like at that moment in the movie, and then later the stuff happens. But yeah, I think she carries it because there's that two-way street, right? She's like, this is what I think. Yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but doesn't have any like ounce of humanity in her whatsoever. Like beyond, that's my job, my duty, blah, blah. She's almost like in the Marine Corps, like a military rank, as I always thought. But like, I have orders. I'm going to work out my orders. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to go home. And like, she believes she's going by the book, and that's what. And there's no way to lead you. So that's where she shows up as the villain. No, I think she's great as the villain in this movie, because you get that character that you just want to absolutely hate. Everybody else on Nurse Ratched. Bar, let me guess, haven't seen it.
I was going to make that joke, but then I figured I would let you do it. No, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to avoid characters that were picked on the last time Villains was an episode, I would have totally put Ratched on my list. You talked about like her interactions with McMurphy, which are, incredible, but to me, her most villainous interactions are actually with Billy Bibbit. Like especially like during the after party, where she's just basically like, well, I have to call your mother. I've got no other choice. Like that just coldness is so unnerving.
I think she's really good in this too. I like that she plays it more ambiguous than the book, where it's really from an unreliable narrator describing her. So you don't really get the full character that Louise Fletcher gives you. It's a big improvement, I think, from the book.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is one of my favorite movies, like ever, and a big part of that is Louise Fletcher's performance as Nurse Ratched. She's just, you want to talk about a character that's just a total bitch bar.
Oh no, you're absolutely right about that.
Nurse Ratched is just evil. The absolute personification of evil in this movie. And no, she's terrible. Almost made my list once again.
She's just doing her job. Okay. And Jack, what is your 7 through 4?
Muted.
Or you're muted, yes.
Okay, my number 7 is Koba from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I got that one.
So it's higher on yours? Oh yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it for Jake. Jake has it a little higher than you up at the top. So what's your 5?
6.
6.
My 6, yeah. My 6 is Terrence Fletcher from Whiplash.
Yikes.
Yeah, I figured. And my 5 is Raul Silva from Skyfall.
Okay.
All right. Finally, I get to talk about one. This is out of the Bond movies that I've seen, which isn't that many. This is my favorite, and Bardem's performance as Silva is absolutely incredible. I love him in this movie. This movie isn't nearly as good without him, and I think he's just the perfect anti-Bond character, where he essentially was Bond, where he was M's favorite, and then he just was kind of stabbed in the back by M, where before the film, and the scene where he takes out his teeth, I think takes out his teeth in the cell when he's talking about the cyanide tooth that he bit into but didn't kill him. That scene chills me every single time. I think he's the perfect Bond villain. I'm excited for some of the other ones that I haven't seen yet, but if he's the gold standard for Bond villain, then it's going to be tough to beat. I love this movie.
Yeah, you should just lower your expectation on Bond villains. Like, if you want to just stop now, like, if you've seen Skyfall, don't get your hopes up for the rest of them. Like, there are some good ones, but, like, nothing's even close to... I think him and Lashif from the first two, like, Casino Royale and Silva, are, like, top-tier Bond, like, villains throughout Bond. No, Silva's really great. I think the part you didn't mention, like, the whole wine scene, like, that entire, like... thing is one of my favorite scenes, like from like a spy kind of movie, is like where he's like bringing Bond out there. Basically, that's why I like about Daniel Craig, and that's what should have really happened with Bond a long time ago. It needed to go grittier and darker, and Silva takes it to that level. I think like when they're all in that room, they're like at a sentencing or a hearing or a judge, like I don't know what the whole thing is, but when the smoke fills and like Silva just has these like great plans throughout that work. Yeah. I think Skyfall's my favorite one, so like I understand completely why it's there. But yeah, there's very few Bond villains that even can hold a candle to him. So I think that's a really good choice. 5 may be a little high for me, but everybody else on Silva from Skyfall.
I'm kind of cold on this one, actually. The problem I have with this character is that he kind of just fits whatever the plot needs to be in a few annoying ways. So he's supposed to be like the opposite of James Bond, like a agent that kind of went bad. And he's also supposed to be the best hacker in the world. or something, and it's just like, okay, come on. Like every way that he escapes is, oh, he hacked them again. Oh, the computer took over and he got out, and it's just everything.
Welcome
is
to James Bond.
Yeah, I like Mr. Green in Quantum of Solace. I would take him over that. I would take Lashif over. If we're going for new Craig villains, then I'll take those
Mr.
two.
Green.
Yes,
90% of the time, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
It goes
Yes,
back.
with his eyes
Goes
bulging
back.
out of his head, like he's gonna lose his shit. He's got veins everywhere. I thought it was
Yeah, to
great.
think that man can be powerful in any set of the world, like that's by the plot as well. Because that guy has got shoved in the lockers in high school. So let's be real. Mr. Green doesn't look intimidated at all. Everybody else in Silver.
Bar, have you seen it?
No.
You've not. My God.
Thing I love about Silva is I think in all of the Craig Bond movies, he's the only character and the only actor who realizes he's in a Bond movie. You say they went darker and grittier. I think they just got really boring and dull and lost all the charm of what Bond movies are. But I think Silva brings a lot of that back. I think Skyfall is the best of the Craig movies for several different reasons. I think Roger Deakins has a lot to do with it, but Raul Silva's character and just how he just that scene where he's like coming on to Bond and just being real weird. It's just such a just some really great like and the scene with the when he's shooting the glass off the girl's head. Just so many like great like classic Bond villain moments that you really don't get in the rest of these movies. So as far I don't know if he's the best Bond villain ever, but he's definitely the best out of Craig.
You are not 16-year-old anymore. Those Bond movies are ass. Everyone there are ass. There's maybe 3 from the original up until Craig that are watchable.
Kirk, do you like Moonraker better?
Moonraker? No, but I'll take
Okay.
Hugo Drax over any of the other Bond villains in Craig besides Raul Silva. He's
Over
fun.
Lashif?
The movies are supposed to be fun.
Oh, over
the Craig movies
Lashif?
are so dour.
Wow, even I've seen Casino Royale, and I know that is a take.
That's your film history. You love dour. You hate positivity. What are you doing? This is no. Because you'd pick half the top 250 on IMDb. Barr just sits there and be like, Audrey Hepburn's in this movie. I'll watch that.
Yes.
RoboCop? It's missing.
Does it have Audrey Hepburn in it? No, it doesn't.
Oh, not directed by
William Wyler.
There it is. Oh, there's no song and dance? Move on.
Don't miss.
Oh, if Frank Capra would have done RoboCop, I'd be first in line. But
Yo, that would have been.
I'd be first in line for that movie.
I would be first in line.
RoboCop, forget about it.
You sold me on that, Cody. Actually, I think he didn't. I think your
he
point
did
didn't
direct
work.
it. Go watch it after this. He directed it. Go watch it. Jack, what's your 4?
My number 4 is John Doe from 7. Oh, yikes. Okay. Talk about... I said earlier that Louise Fletcher is Nurse Ratched was the personification of evil. I take it back. John Doe is the personification of evil in this movie. He is just absolutely terrifying in this movie. I talked about it on the mystery thriller list. 7, like every single one of the kills in this movie, whether it's gluttony or sloth, haunts me. And a lot of that, and then when you actually meet John Doe, he's in a shirt covered in blood in the middle of the police station, and his just cold, emotionless delivery of every single line in that movie just makes your blood run cold. And I think a lot of that, I said before, the actor that played him won the correct Oscar, but for the wrong movie. He should have won for this movie. He is incredible in this movie. And he's easily one of my favorite villains.
just going to help everybody else out on why a lesson for future shows. I understand bad things have happened in the police. His name is Kevin Spacey. You can say it. He won't appear. He won't appear in your house if you say his name. What? It doesn't. We don't need.
I was just blanking on his name. I was just blanking on his name.
I just want to put that out there. Like you can say, you can say his name. Yeah. I've said this on Top 100. It went up. It will probably go up on the next rewatch. I think 7 is an incredible movie. I was sleeping on this movie. I thought, that's fine. Whatever. Let's move on. But no, there's so much more. I think John Doe, he's basically in it for the end, and he's, I think, maybe 20 minutes of the film. I don't even not even because he shows up. He asks for the thing. They drive to the thing. What? And he starts talking to him, and he's, what's in the box? And that's it. So I think overall, great performance, absolutely. I think he does a really great job with it. I just think what sells him is the stuff that is not seen by him, like the deadly sins and how all those are set up, because his performance is fine. I think he's great in the movie, what he does, but I think the overall movie is what makes that movie for me. But yeah, good choice. I don't know if 4 would be my choice, but what's everybody else thought on John 7?
I'm in the same boat you are. I hadn't seen this in forever, and I knew I liked it, but I rewatched it for the Top 100, and I was blown away by how good this is. It's a great, fantastic movie. John does a good villain. Spacey does a good job playing him. The reason he wouldn't be on my list, though, is because I think even though his actions permeate the entire film, it's so focused on Mills and Somerset and how what he does impacts them that he almost is relegated to the background until obviously he comes up. But even when he appears in the movie, he's there. It's about Mills and his conversation with Mills and what he does with Mills. It's so focused on them that I really like. I mean, it's a good character, but just as far as best villains, it just that based on that wouldn't make the cut for my list.
And I'm going to echo what Kirk said. Took the words out of my mouth, actually.
I think he's a good villain.
And you're muted. How many times is that? 3?
Can you hear that?
No, because
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I don't think you know how science works, Cody. You can't hear that. So.
Well, I don't know that you knew that you're in a film community and you need to watch movies to be here. Go to your theater troupe, okay?
Jesus Christ.
Give us your 7.
All right, my number 7 is Doyle Lonnegan from The Sting. I picked this one because I think that this is just one of those villains that you love how much you hate him. Robert Shaw is so charismatic, but there's still that underlying menace to him, and it's just so much fun to see him just fall for every single thing that gets laid out. But just to see the kind of power that he has and the kind of menace, that intense, it's that kind of villain where the quietness is more intimidating than any loud yelling or anything like that. I think this is just one of those villains where you see how powerful they are, but it's so much fun to see them just get foiled as the movie gets laid out. So he's honestly one of the most memorable villains to me for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, I'm not as high on this movie as everybody else. I think it's really good. I just am not in love with it as Boatman is or some other people is. I think it's really good, and I think he gives a fantastic performance in this. So 7, I'm not going to give you any faults on it. I think that's fine. I'm glad you've seen a movie from the 70s. That's really good. Next, we'll try maybe the 80s and 90s, and we'll improve on each week. Everybody else on Doyle.
This is one I definitely considered. And honestly, the reason it didn't make my list is because for Robert Shaw villains, I was going between this and Mr. Blue from Taking the Pelham 123. They're both really, really good villains, and it kind of split the vote for me, and neither of them ended up making the list. Spoiler alert. But it's a very.
I think that's a cop out personally, but
oh my god.
The other one is the henchman from from Russia with Love. The other that's probably my favorite Bond villain, honestly. Another Robert Shaw character.
Yeah, no. I love this. I love this movie. I need to see more Robert Shaw. I think he's awesome. My favorite scene in this movie is the card game between him and is it Paul Newman? Is that the other
Paul Newman on the train? Actor? Yeah.
On the train, the Three Jacks scene. That's easily my favorite scene in the movie. I think they're both fantastic in that. I love him as a villain in it. Yeah, just didn't make my list, but great choice.
What's your 6?
Cool. My number 6. It's going to be hard to talk about this without spoiling some things. So if you've never seen 1972's Child's Play, it's Joseph Dobbs. So Joseph Dobbs, as I said, it's going to be hard to do this without spoilers, but it's played by Robert Preston. And he's basically this teacher that all the students really, really love. And what you find out is that he's been slowly torturing this other teacher that all the students seem to hate. And then at the end, you find out that the students love him in a way that is really unsettling and very cult-ish. And it's just the way that he seems so innocent throughout the entire movie. And then at the end, there's this great reveal. And you find out how terrible this person actually is, how manipulative this person actually is, how sinister this person actually is, and just the way that he's able to control all these kids to do the things that he wants them to do in order to ruin this one man's life. It's kind of disgusting and slimy, and you can't believe you fell for his charm the entire time you're watching this movie.
Didn't get a chance to watch this. It's on your Vudu. It was my last one that I needed to watch. I didn't get a chance to, but I'm going to be watching it after it. Not very well long, so I think I'm going to be able to get it in tonight. But it sounds interesting. What Joseph said, I didn't know Cindy Lumet did Chucky. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, I thought that was later, so it's interesting. I think the only one that will probably have something to say on this is Kirk. So, but everybody, go ahead.
I'm really glad I have seen it because I love how Bar starts out. I'm going to try not to spoil this for anybody.
It's hard to do.
And then he just completely spoils the entire movie instantly. But it's a great pick. I love this movie. It's a great early 70s Sidney Lumet. And it's just James Mason is really good because the movie kind of gaslights you too. James Mason is the older teacher that you think is the bad guy that they set up as the villain, and he thinks he's just like a good traditional teacher. But there's so much working against him. You see it. He seems like a really bad guy. But then, like Boris said, there's a swerve, and you see like he was kind of the victim all along, and. It's I didn't put it because it's one of those things where you don't realize it's a villain until very late in the movie. But yeah, it's a solid pick.
Basically, Robert Preston, if he's in a movie, don't let him around young men. He will trick them. He will do bad things to them. He will steal your money. Because it's music.
Trouble in River City.
Noted.
So I'm guessing I'm just going to number 5. My number 5 is one that I think a few people probably would have guessed. My number 5 is Rote from Wait Until Dark. So Wait Until Dark is about these 3 guys who break into a blind woman's apartment and basically trick her and into thinking that her husband is connected to this drug ring. But in actuality, they're just looking for drugs that accidentally came into her possession. And Rote is the ringleader of all this, and he is by far the most evil one because he's the more sinister one, while the other two are more roped in. Just the way that he is able to control the situation, and especially at the end, where everything starts falling apart and he's starting to get a little bit more and more desperate. Alan Arkin's performance in this is just incredible. It's not one of those performances you expect from Alan Arkin. He's dark and sinister and really terrifying, especially that moment where he leaps towards Audrey Hepburn's character, and just the complete desperation in his, like, not only his eyes but his body. I think that he's a great villain that not enough people talk about.
Great villain, what a joke. You are completely incorrect on this movie. Listen, movie itself, thank you for making me watch it. I think it's good. The best villain of all time at 5, delusional. Delusional! He's barely in this movie. That jump, he hit a trampoline. It's one of the most cartoonish jumps I've ever seen in my life, and it's so bad. It is so bad. What? Because I guess I can't say that. I don't know what makes him a villain, just because he's a con man? Like, he barely spends any time in this woman's apartment. When he does, he's the one trying to get exactly what he wants. And then he basically gets his comeuppance. Like, I don't see where it could be number 5. I don't understand the whole villain ass. Like, I think he's fine. I think it's cool to see him, especially how he plays. Like, when he starts, like when he enters the apartment the first time and talks to him, you see this cool thing. But I think, like, the con and the heist kind of thing behind it is more entertaining than I think if any other villain shows up, they punch that dude in the face, it's over. Like, he has nothing. He has nothing to him. He has a knife. That's it. Yeah, and gas. Sorry, don't mean to ruin the movie, but yeah, but I don't understand. 5, that's ridiculous. Bar, please watch other movies. Watch RoboCop. You put Rote against Clarence. Oh my gosh, Clarence is literally having him for breakfast.
He's going to outwit Clarence.
Nope, not. You can't outwit when you've got a 50 caliber handgun to your face. You're dead. He's got a sniper rifle that explodes buildings. What? So, yeah, weird choice.
I really like Rote. I wish I would have thought of it. I like it. He's Alan Arkin. Weird character for him. Weird look. I like it. I like the pick.
He got kicked out of the Beatles. It looked like.
No, the jump scare is very scary. I found it freaky when I watched it. I wasn't expecting something like that. It just came
with
out of
the
nowhere.
movies on your list that scared you.
Oh, I wasn't expecting it. It's
inhuman. That's what makes it so much more terrifying.
It feels like it's breaking the rules of what this movie was up until that point.
So
wrong.
When Bar brought this up on the mystery thrillers list, I really wanted to watch it. I'm just poor, so I haven't rented it yet, but I'm going to eventually if I'm able to. And when you said Alan Arkin was in it, I really like Alan Arkin, so I'm going to watch it eventually. I just haven't yet.
I don't think he's a bad villain. I don't think he's top 10 all time. I think it's an interesting villain. Just like the plot, the scheme is a lot of fun to watch unfold. And I think the most interesting thing is that just like Jake said, this isn't the role you'd expect from Alan Alda, especially or Alan Arkin. Especially for us who are more familiar with his roles when he's a little older, and he plays those kind of like comedic paternal roles. To see him play something, I guess, is really out of left field. But for me, that's the most fun thing about it. Good villain, yeah. Good movie, and he's good in it, yeah, but not top 10 all time.
You're muted.
Or to help Bar, he didn't have this is top 20 because he didn't include anybody else, and Rote still is not top 20. So that's fair.
You had that set up.
I didn't do it. I have no control.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Hands on
Coho.
screen.
I don't. All right. What's your 4?
My number 4.
Mr. Rogers. What are we doing?
Well, there's a reason I told Kirk that he copped out earlier, because my number 4 is the other Robert Shaw. It's Mr. Blue from 1974's The Taking of Pelham 123. So, once again, I think what I really love are villains that are just, like, really unsettlingly calm and sure about what they're doing. Just the way that he's able to control the situation and he's so precise in what he wants is really, really strong and engaging. And then at the end, just the fact that he is so set in his thoughts and plans that he literally does what he does to himself at the end. I'm not going to spoil this one this time, unlike the last one. But just that level of desperation is really, really interesting to see in a character like that. But yeah, I think that this is my favorite Robert Shaw villain performance.
I think it's very interesting. It's a Warzone question that was just raised. It was what crime movie has these characters? And you just want to say Reservoir Dogs instantly, but everybody forgets about Taking a Pelham 123. I love this movie. I think I included it in my top 100. If not, it's now in my top 100. I think it's absolutely incredible. Tarantino gets so much like inspiration from this movie. And you can tell. And again, Robert Shaw is one of those actors that has gone way too soon. Like, I wanted way more of Robert Shaw. I think he's absolutely incredible in this film. He's no John Travolta, but he's pretty close. Like, he's pretty close. I'm just kidding. But yeah, great choice actually for 4. Now this is a villain. I can understand the villain aspect of this one. So good choice. Everybody else, take it on Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Something about Robert Shaw's physique. It looks like he could just like kick anyone's ass. Like he could kick The Rock's ass for some reason. Like he's not the most muscular guy, but he has like dad strength. You know what I mean? Like he's got that old fashioned like he stands straight as a board. He just yeah.
All right, then come on.
Yep. Reservoir Dogs, one of my all-time favorite movies. I love it, so I'll probably like this one. So, yeah, I'll watch it. Maybe.
You know what, Bar? You want to call it a cop-out, that's fine. I call it making a more diverse and interesting list.
Oh, get off my back, old man.
Two Robert Shaw movies, 2 Audrey Hepburn movies. I mean, whatever you want to say about my list, at least I scroll down more than 2 pages on my letterbox looking for ideas before I finish my list. But no, this is a great villain. Mr. Blue is fantastic. He's so good in this. I love the interaction between all the villains, especially him and Martin Balsam. But no, it's a really good pick.
This show has ripped people apart. If anything, this show has brought me and Kirk closer, and that's what I will respect from the show. Okay, we're gonna go to the clear-cut best person on the panel right now, Jake, with that Derek pick. We'll see what else he's got coming. This is gonna be fun.
Okay, so part of the thing with like a list like this is, and I like about a list like this is, we're not picking the best movies. We're picking the best villains. Okay, so I have a controversial pick coming up. I know it's controversial. I like these movies a lot. I picked David from the Alien prequels because I think he's probably the best villain of the past 10 years, honestly. And yeah, so the thing that I love so much about David, I think he's better than Ian Holm or Lance Henriksen. I think he combines the uncanny valley that Lance Henriksen has and the eerie unknowability of Ian Holm. And there's just something so unsettling about Fassbender getting creation and destruction all mixed up in his wiring, and I just love an evil robot, and I think as far as evil robots go, David might be one of the best. So what do you guys think about that?
Okay. Alien Covenant. Fine. He's in Prometheus too, right? I'll give you that.
Prometheus and Alien Covenant, yes.
Okay. Didn't help your case on either count. I was going to let you just have Alien Covenant. You said Prometheus, so now we're living in this world. Is Fassbender a great actor? Sure. Yeah. He's one of the best. When you say...
And this is his best role, I would say.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
I think I'm going to take off after that. Oh, gosh. Okay. He is the best thing in this movie. But this movie sucks. Like, Alien, you already have to, like, do some, like, suspense and disbelief. Like, Danny McBride can actually pilot a plane or a spaceship. Like, that's already, like, wow, that's funny. But then this overall, like, I hate when they call this Alien Covenant. There's one xenomorph in that movie that shows up at all, right? And the thing just chases after something and gone. And the ending, which I think is supposed to be like a twist, or like when he's still at the end. These movies are bad. Like these movies, like Alien should have died at 2. Like maybe it shouldn't even have a sequel. Some people will agree with that. Like Aliens, like I get the whole aspect of like the action if you want action, but I'd rather them call it something else and move on. I just think Alien was something that was special, and then they made stuff out of it, and then Alien 3 and all this stuff. And to tell you the truth, from 3 on, I can't stand any of these movies. I'm bored to tears. This movie was long, and Fassbender is great in it. But if you say Fassbender is one of the best, his best performance is David in Alien Covenant.
Yes.
Like,
I feel strongly about
have you seen any other Fassbender movies?
I've seen many Fassbender movies. I think the thing that people get all mixed up about with these Prometheus and Alien Covenant is, oh, it's an alien movie. Oh, they did the aliens dirty. The aliens are just a vehicle for Ridley Scott to get $100 million to make his weird android movie. That's all it is. And if that's what he needs to do, he needs to throw a couple xenomorphs to get his weird android playing the flute, and they kiss in that movie too. I'll take it. I mean, if that's where blockbuster cinema is at this point, do what you got to do.
Okay, you don't.
Someone mentioned Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is great too.
I mean, yeah, like there's a lot that you can pick from. Okay, everybody. I said what I thought. Everybody else on Alien Covenant.
I haven't seen either of the 2 newer movies, but I know that this pick is wrong.
No, you don't. You haven't seen them.
So you don't.
Yeah, same with me.
I don't have to.
You can't say that. That person's a bad leader. Do you live in the country? No, not really, but I can tell you.
Is he still the clear-cut best person?
What?
Cody, is he still the clear-cut best person on this panel? Is Jake still the clear-cut best person?
If you didn't hear sarcasm, then I can't help you. Because I knew Alien Covenant was next. So go ahead.
I honestly don't remember much about him in Covenant because that's such a forgettable movie, and it's not his fault. But I remember being really convoluted, just like everything going on with the architect and everything. In Prometheus, I feel like Charlize Theron's character is more the villain, and he's just more like the henchman. I like Ash better as far as the alien android villains. I think he's just more. I think just that reveal you get from him, just his whole ploy, I think just works better. That whole movie works better. I think that helps him. But I think it's just a much more interesting character. I think by the time you get to Prometheus Covenant, the whole android thing is the kind of played out, and it's It's almost like just like a gimmick, like Stanley movie. You have to have an android in it. But again, like these movies are so forgettable. He might be awesome in it, and I just missed it because my eyes were glazed over because of the rest of the movie. But yeah, I think this is too high to have him best villain.
See, I think that especially Alien Covenant is an android movie that has to have aliens in it. That's what's really going on. But yeah,
Well,
fair enough. It's okay. I get the hate.
If you take the xenomorph out of it, it's still boring as crap. So.
Okay. I was ready for that.
All right, what's your 6?
My 6 is Pazuzu from The Exorcist, played by Linda Blair. Not just the face that pops up on the screen, but like Linda Blair's performance itself. I still think there's kind of nothing else like it. Every time I watch it, it's like a magic trick. It's like, that's the same little girl, and I think the makeup gets a lot of credit. I think they tricked her into giving a great performance. I think this is all just a way to rob her of what's really just a surreal performance that it still doesn't make sense to me when I watch it, where it's like she's such a believable little girl and then she's such a believable demon. And it's a strange magic trick. Honestly, it should probably be higher on my list. It's yeah. So Pazuzu.
So this is one that I've seen a long time ago, and I haven't rewatched it, and I wasn't going to rewatch it for villains because I've heard great things about Exorcist. I've heard mixed things, but the person that I think watched it most recently was Kirk, and Kirk I think really enjoyed it. It may have been Kirk, and I think Boatman also talked about it. So with a movie that highly rated by two people that sometimes I agree with, sometimes I don't. I have to give that a pause because I don't want to rip it to shreds and watch it through those eyes. But I remember a lot about this movie. I remember the pea soup, the head spinning, the demon. I remember that stuff. I just want a fresh watch where it's not part of the show. But I'll give you a pass on this because I think what I hear, fantastic choice. Everybody else.
Yeah, I recently just watched this.
I haven't seen it.
I recently just got into watching this for the first time, and yeah, I loved it. I was really surprised. What I realized when I watched this movie is every clip they ever show of it anywhere is from the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
And so if you're going in fresh, you have no idea what kind of movie you're getting. And like Jake said, she's so good up till that point because it's later in the movie than you think where she goes full blown possessed. You wouldn't know that from just watching clips or hearing people talk about it, but it takes a while to get there. And you really get you care for the character, and then when she turns into that, it's just bone chilling. It's terrifying. So yeah, I think again this kind of went into my territory of no monsters, no creatures, which is why I didn't consider it. But I think it's a good pick. And I like the fact that Koho didn't want to spell Pazuzu, so he just put Linda Blair
or Reagan.
Yeah.
I think I shared whatever was said. Maybe I don't know. It might be my fault. Go ahead.
I actually really love this movie. I think the reason that I didn't pick this character is because I don't really see it as a movie about this character. I see it more as a character study of, and I had to look up the character name, Father Karras, played by Jason Miller. I think that there's so much more focus on him that I don't really pay as much attention to Pazuzu.
Wait, you've seen this movie?
Yeah, I've seen this movie. I watched it like most Halloweens.
Okay. I didn't think you watched it. So, is Hepburn in this? Anyways,
Which one?
Is it what's your 5, Jake? Jack?
My number 5 is a character that is this me, Jake?
Yes, you. Yes, two Jack and Jake's too much. And I don't even know if Jack's still with us. Did he leave and come back yet?
I don't. Okay, my number 5 pick though.
Can you see me?
Leave and come back. Okay, go ahead, Jake.
My number 5 pick is one of the most unique characters one of the most unique villains I can think of in film history in a way. It's Frank Cotton from Hellraiser. He is also known as Uncle Frank. So the unique thing about Hellraiser has an extremely complicated novelistic plot. It's not something I can just easily explain. I'd have to break it down. But the thing about Frank is that they introduce him as like this Indiana Jones-like character where he's in Morocco at a village buying like this antique puzzle box, and then they cut to him in an attic and he gets torn apart. And the interesting thing is it's revealed through flashbacks that he's not just this Indiana Jones-like character. He's like this 50 Shades of Grey character, this sadist who enjoys cutting his brother's wife and doing all these filthy things and basically partaking in every form of sadism that you can imagine, which is how he came upon the box. So, the other thing, so that's Frank's background. But Frank in the movie is basically this puddle of blood that is slowly, it's using his brother's wife to lure in men so that he can drink their blood and regain his body. So for most of the movie, he looks like one of those medical dummies that's only muscles. And it's Guillermo del Toro said this thing about his monster with the eyeballs in his hands, said something about like an incomplete monster with evolutionary stages is very satisfying to him. And I think that's exactly what's so satisfying about Frank Cotton, and he's so unique. It just holds the whole movie together. It's a really strange thing if you've seen Hellraiser. You really think about what that character is.
This movie is absolute garbage.
This
movie is trash. I hate myself because I made a pact to myself. If it's 5 or higher, I will watch it for the show. I hate myself. I absolutely... Listen.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, by the way. This is not the worst one that I picked for you.
You're right, it's not. We'll talk about that later. I have a question, and maybe you can answer this because maybe you read the book on this and maybe you know a little bit more than me. Why do they put the face of the Pinhead guy on the thing and him not be that big of a deal in this movie whatsoever?
Well, I like that the Cenobites, they call them, he's not named Pinhead in that, are really underexplained, because I think it lends some reality to the situation, that it's like, if you met some interdimensional BDSM monster, it's not going to explain its whole deal to you and just be walking around talking to you. I think there's something that just it's just looming in the shadows, and it kind of speaks for itself. That's what I like so much about Pinhead.
This movie is disgusting. This movie is convoluted. Like, it's got a lot of stuff going on for just this. Mm-hmm. And I read this little snippet before I clicked on Hellraiser 1 that was a bundle with Hellraiser 2 that I will never feature ever in my life. And it said, from the mastermind or the brilliant mind of Clive Barker or whatever.
Well, that's one more thing. That
if this person dropped on their head that wrote this, if this is masterpiece work, I don't ever want to. This is Ethan Beller. Have you met this guy named Ethan Beller? He's in this community. You might become friends with him. He likes trash movies like this. No. This movie is garbage.
Jesus Christ.
One of the things that I think that Clive Barker lends to it is that he's this gay British man, and he wrote a male femme fatale, basically, which is extremely rare. I was trying to think of any other male femme fatales. He's almost like a twisted Harlequin romance character, and I think that's something that there's a reason.
As somebody that's literally listened to Dominic Rizzi talk for a while, you've hurt my head probably more with this entire Hellraiser speech. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I don't know. Listen, you like what you like. Doesn't help you on the show whatsoever. But Frank Cotton, oh my God. if I ever want those hooks, that chain hook thing, oh, I wish I didn't eat like lunch before I watched this movie. This movie made me want to throw up. It's gross.
I am sincerely sorry. I should have warned you
No,
not to.
it made great for the show. It made great for the show. Thank you.
Okay.
Wait until my commentaries come out later this month about me watching these films and me recording my reaction as I watch. Everybody else on Hellraiser, Kirk, one time you defended the first one, and now I don't like you as much. So please tell me why.
I also watched this because of
Still counts,
Beller, and have to study against him in trivia. I don't mind this movie. I think it was interesting. I think it's a. I kind of like how the Cenobites play into the whole story, but I agree with you, Cody. I don't know how they're like the iconic figure, because Uncle Frank is so horrifying, especially at the beginning when he first starts to reform. Like his body just is starting to come together, and he's crawling across the floor. That's one of like the freakiest things I've ever seen in a movie. Just like the practical effects of him, like this, like barely formed human body just scraping across the floor. It's terrifying. So yeah, I kind of like this movie. The sequels, not so much. The sequels are kind of trash. But the first one I think is pretty good. And again, because of the monster thing, that's why this didn't make my list.
Jake, you seem like a cool guy. You seem like nice and pleasant. But I must know what hardware store you went to buy that shovel you dug your own grave with, because that thing is a thing of beauty. And I haven't seen this movie.
I sincerely don't understand. I'm new to this community.
Don't worry. You're good. You'll learn. 6.
You're doing good, buddy.
So
you're fitting in quite well. And that's, I'm being honest, not joking. You're doing well.
So,
thank you. I'm having a great time. You can dunk on all my gross movies. Sorry. Go on.
You get it.
Yeah. So I haven't seen this movie. It's been like, I've been like, of all the older horror movies, this one's been a little higher on the list for me to watch because, like, I don't know, I've heard Pinhead's cool. And then the second you said BDSM monster, I immediately took a step back, questioned every choice I've made up until this point, and have decided not to watch this ever.
Yeah,
it's a party. It's a party.
Unless absolutely necessary.
Coming
You're
soon
right,
to
would
the
be
channel,
necessary.
commentary with Ethan Beller and Jake while they watch Hellraiser together. It'll be a great time. Where are we at? That was only 5. What's your 4?
Okay, so my number 4, I yikes the Koba from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, played by Toby Kebbell.
Yeah, it's not a traditional yikes, but since it's villains, we're going to keep it in that same range so you can talk about it. So go ahead, and then Jack.
Okay, so Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, it like opens with this dialogue-free sequence of them hunting deer, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little long on this. Hopefully I won't. 1 minute. So Caesar's son, the main character, his son goes in and he's going to pick off this wounded deer, and he gets like attacked by a bear, right? So the bear maims him, and Koba ends up saving the day and saving Caesar's son from this bear. Now, so later on, when they're back at their camp or whatever, Koba walks up to Caesar's son and says, "Don't worry, scars make you strong." And he points to himself. And I find that moment very upsetting because you can tell that he's internalized all of his abuse that he's taken on as this innocent animal. And he's turned it into a badge of honor in a way. And there's something so sad about that and economical in the storytelling of Koba. So then later on, his scars come up again when Caesar is saying that they need to help the humans with their work. And he points to his scars and he says, human work. And yeah, I think that this movie really could be called The Tragedy of Koba, because I find his radicalization just actually genuinely upsetting to think about. He's like a a fighter dog or something is who gains sentience. There's something I really I think it makes the movie.
Yeah, I had this as my number 7. I personally think Koba is one of the most well-written villains or just characters in like the 2010s, and I think a lot of the reason I love Koba as a villain so much is because like he's kind of not wrong about the humans. Like all he's known from them up until this point has just been cruelty, and when the one human whose name escapes me at the moment shoots one of the apes, he all he wants, like he sees it as his duty to eradicate those humans. And I think that Toby Kebbell's performance is phenomenal. Like there's a villain that may or may not come up later on someone else's that I say is better and should have won the Oscar, which they might have. But I think Toby Kebbell was robbed of a nomination. I said that on 2014 movies. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. It's my favorite Apes movie. Koba's my favorite character in the Apes franchise. I love it.
Not going to catch me this time. Yeah, I absolutely love the trilogy of the Planet of the Apes, the original, the new 3. Now, some would be like, the originals were where the heart was and the magic of it was, like Bond for some people. But this I think is up there as one of the top trilogies ever for me. I love all 3 of these movies. I think they're so watchable. I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is my favorite by far. I think it's the best one. And it's kind of like Koba. I think I relate like Koba and Gary Oldman's character as the same, but just on opposite sides. Like Caesar, wake the fuck up. They're humans. They're going to want to kill us. And then Gary Oldman, they're fucking apes. Like, what are we doing here? Like, they both have the same mission. They both have the thing. But yeah, Koba, like, as a villain, like, you hate him, but you feel for him because he's just doing what he honestly thinks is right. And in some words, he's not wrong, but it works so well. Yeah, Koba is one of those characters that I think is great for the series. I think he's so strong in this movie. That's why I like War a lot, but I don't think Woody Harrelson gives the same thing that Koba does in this one for me. So good choice at 4. You redeemed yourself a little bit. Everybody else on Koba? Haven't seen it?
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh my!
We're learning a lot tonight.
What do you do?
How did you win title?
Dumb luck. I told you already.
You're playing it. You're also playing. You're playing in Fandom. I know you don't care, but like, watch a movie.
90% of the time, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
That is 100% more.
I like Koba as a villain. I think he works best as a foil for Caesar. I love stories about a character who's trying to make a change and make the world a better place, and they have it in their grasp, but just taken away from them by forces out of their control. Like Koba is that force that just won't let that happen. And like you guys said, like it may be the right thing for it not to happen, but you're rooting for Caesar so much, and that's what makes him a great villain. I think 4 and 7's high. I wouldn't put him top 10 all time, but he's a really great villain. Like I said, foil for Caesar throughout this trilogy.
Okay, top 3, Kirk.
Okay, my number 3 is Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York. If you ever watch the show Firefly, there's an episode where a friend of one of the crew members of the Firefly asks them to come to a planet and help them because they're being harassed and abused by this, petty land baron who has a lot of control there. And they basically want the crew of the Firefly to come in and take them out. So they go to the planet. Mel Reynolds says, "I want to meet this guy. If I want to fight him, I want to, see him face to face. I'm up." So he goes in. He spends 5 minutes talking to this guy. Turns around and leaves. Says to his crew, "Get on the ship. We're leaving now. We're not looking back." And they're like, "Why?" He's like, "There's nothing more dangerous than a monster who thinks he's right with God." And that's who Bill the Butcher is. He has such a strong moral center, and he thinks he's right, and he thinks he's righteous, and he is just so deadly and so dangerous. He's such a great character. The connection he has to the priest character and the way he kills him, but then afterwards mourns his death because he says, "I killed the last honorable man." It's just such a great take, and just a great, just his view of the world, just where he has Leo struck up and he's like, "That's a wound. You haven't earned a death by my hands." Just his worldview and his belief system, his philosophy, and just listen to him talk about it. He's such a great looking villain with that long coat and the ridiculous top hat and the butcher knives and the eye. Just visually, he's so great. And Daniel Day-Lewis is so good. This is my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance. So great in this. This movie has kind of Dark Knight syndrome. It's when Bill the Butcher's on the screen. This is a 10 out of 10. When he's not, it's maybe like a 6 or a 7. But he just elevates the whole movie. He is so fantastic in this, and he's so much fun to watch from beginning to end. I just don't want to take my eyes off the screen when he's there.
Man, we couldn't agree more on this movie. Gosh, I always think like Scorsese. Well, Scorsese's terrible at casting women. That's just a proven fact. He does not know really how to handle females in movies as well as he could. He's got a little bit better. He has hits or one, but this is one that I wish Cameron Diaz was never in. I think Cameron Diaz is absolutely god awful in this movie. But that hour 15 to hour 50 mark, if we just cut that entire bit out of it, this movie gets rave reviews. But you're 100% right. The problem with this movie is never Bill the Butcher. Bill the Butcher is the most redeeming part of this entire movie. And it's kind of like my friend that does not like foreign language films, but he's like, "Man, why couldn't we get a whole scene of the bastards, from Inglourious Bastards?" That's my kind of thing. I don't want to read the film. It's that part where Bill the Butcher's in there the entire time and you don't want him to leave the screen whatsoever. You don't care. Leo's, of course, great, but give me Bill the Butcher. That's who I want. And I just love how ridiculous he is and how those little lines that's a wound. You haven't earned dying by my hand. Just so good. And just how he has that accent. It just proves how when Daniel said I don't think he's retired, or is he retired from acting now?
He's claims to be retired, yes.
He's claimed to be. I don't blame the man.
Yeah.
His acting in the movies that he's done is 10 times what other people have done on double the movies. I think he researched. I think he went to a butcher school and went through all the stuff. He's insane with what he does and how meticulous he is on everything. The dude is crazy. But Bill the Butcher, that first scene is just it's so good. Again, I'm a Scorsese shill, so you already had me some way. I don't think it's pandering, but it's really good choice for Bill the Butcher.
Did he actually go to butcher school, or is that a joke?
Yeah, no, he actually took butcher lessons. Whoa!
Of course he did. He also wore a big top hat for a year.
Look, those things are heavy.
Yeah.
I really like this movie. I don't love it. He's obviously the best part of it, but I think that I think that my opinion of the movie overall hurt my opinion on him as a villain overall. So,
well, when you've seen 200 movies, of course you might not like them all.
200.
I know. I gave you a stretch. I don't know if I'm accurate or not. Everybody,
you're way off.
Jack.
I think
I haven't seen it.
Great, good pick. I like it. I haven't seen this movie in too long, so I can't say too much.
It's definitely a chore. Okay. Jack, if you're with us, can you give us your 3?
Yeah, I'm with you. My 3 is the Joker from specifically Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. I'm sad now. Anyways, this movie is great, but it is made even better when Heath Ledger is on screen, and I think that's something that only a great villain can really do, is make a great movie even better. I love Heath Ledger in this movie. When you watching things like 10 Things I Hate About You and Brokeback Mountain and A Knight's Tale, you would not ever assume that this is the same person is in those movies. And he's phenomenal. Easily one of my 3 favorite, easily one of my 3 favorite performances, like, ever. I love him in this movie. No, can't say enough great things about him. The interrogation scene is absolutely incredible. The little camcorder one that they show on the Gotham News is terrifying. Once again, Oh.
All right.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to read that comment there. No, this this character is just incredible. And also, yes, Joker, for me, more like the jester of the Kingsman. So, but whatever.
Okay. Heath Ledger's Joker. Can we just all agree for once? Kind of overrated at this point. No, I've talked to this character to death at this point. Yes, he's fantastic. The movie is great. It's a great Joker film. It's not a great Batman film. Like, here we go. Let's just do all this fun stuff all over again. No, I think he's great. I think he's a fantastic performance. I think he gives one of the best performances in recent history. Again, I remember reading all the articles, and everybody would like, yeah, guy from Brokeback Mountain's going to play the Joker? My ass. And then he gives out the performance he does. I mean, it's so rewatchable. It's so great. 3, I understand why people didn't put this off on the list. I get that. Like, the same reason I'm doing this right now is like, oh. My only thing is, if we're going to put it at 3, why is it not 1? Like, it's one of those, like, if you're going to put it, you need to put it. But 3, I think, is a little low if that's what you're doing your list. We'll see what's left. But everybody else in The Dark Knight. Bar, have you seen this indie film?
Yeah. Only because it's an indie film, I've seen it. Yes, it's a great villain. Heath Ledger does an amazing job. But I am so sick and tired of the Joker and the Dark Knight being brought up on this show episode after episode after episode. Even if it's in a category it shouldn't be in, it pops up for some reason. So while, yes, it's a great pick and it absolutely
like Christmas movies.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it is a great pick and it does deserve to be considered and talked about when it comes to the greatest villains of all time, I'm just personally sick and tired of talking about it.
I'm just glad you've seen it.
Well, only 30 minutes of it.
I think one of the testaments to what's so great about Heath Ledger's Joker is that everyone wants to do an impression of Heath Ledger's Joker, and like no one can do an impression of Heath Ledger's Joker. It sucks. Like he's moving around too much. It's too fluid. It's too all over the place. He's doing like rotating between like 10 different voices. And it's all feels so stream of conscious that anyone doing an impression of it, just don't. Like, it's a bad idea. Do Bane. Bane is fun. You know, everyone could do Bane.
Don't do it.
I almost got
Once
him.
Snow White will shoot a man and then throw him out of a plane. Kirk, Have you seen this small film?
I did catch it on cable late one night. No, this is when I decided not to put Fandom characters on my list. This was the most painful for me because the Joker is my favorite villain and maybe just one of my favorite fictional characters across any medium, movies, comics, whatever. And I love this interpretation of him. What's so great about this is he really doesn't like stick to like the traditional Joker backstory or the traditional interpretation. You don't get like the Red Hood origin that you get with the Nicholson Joker. It takes some liberties there, but he captures the spirit of that character so well. Unlike Nicholson didn't do it, Joaquin Phoenix didn't do it. Nobody's ever done this. Where when I remember watching this movie the first time, every second he was on screen, I was nervous and I was scared about what he's going to do next. And that is exactly how you should feel when the Joker shows up. He should always be terrifying. He should be scary. You should never know what he's going to do next, and you should always be afraid of it. And he captures that so perfectly in this movie. And just the way he like portrays my favorite scene in the movie is when he's in the hospital with Harvey Dent. And the two of them are talking, and you just get such a perfect dichotomy of their 2 points of view and how that plays out. And just I love that. It's just maybe my all-time favorite Joker moment when Two-Face is like, "Heads you win, tails you die," and he's like, "Now we're talking." That is so perfectly Joker. And then follow it up when he's when he's leaving the hospital and he goes to blow the thing up and it doesn't blow up and he shakes it and he jumps. Just he has that character down so perfect. Obviously, for a lot, tragic that we lost Heath Ledger. But I'm sad that we didn't get to see him do this character again because so good at it. So great.
Yeah, he broke the character. I've said that for numerous times. I think this character is officially. I think there could be somebody that comes along and does it, but like, it's kind of like a Robin Williams for me.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Jake,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but my take on it, it's just either you're doing an impression of him, or you have to do something completely off, and that's what Jared Leto had to do, and it just didn't hit. So I think this character is pretty much broken at this point, but we'll see because there's more and more actors, and it will be rebooted. There's no shot about it. Will be brought back up. There's no doubt. Bar. Tell me why Barney is the third greatest villain of all time.
Because that dinosaur is creepy. My number 3 is actually a real fun pick. It's one of my, more lighthearted comedic ones. It's Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, Part 2. Okay. This is one of my favorite comedic villains. Actually, it is my favorite comedic villain. But especially in Part 2, he actually does have moments of like genuine like malice, especially on the rooftop where he's just holding Marty at gunpoint. It's just a great moment. But it really is the over the top lavishness and just the fact that he's a dumbass who kind of stumbled into this like really great moment of villainy. And just the makeup just really adds to the overall character and just the performance in general. Especially the scene where he's talking to himself and he hands him like the younger version of himself, the sports almanac, and it's just like, make like a tree and get out of here. It's leave. Make like a tree and leave. It's so good. It's so great. But it's genuinely a very interesting villainous turn for this character that is really fun and engaging, and you can't help but getting caught up in the character.
Right actor, wrong movie. If you're gonna pick a villain, you need to pick Buford Mad Dog Tannen from Back to the Future 3. Way better villain in my opinion. Way better villain in my opinion. I absolutely love the West aesthetics that they add to him, especially when he calls Clint, like the whole Clint Eastwood, that back and forth, because they're both stupid, they're both dumb, but it's like set in the Western vibe. I like it a lot more. Not against it at all. I'm telling you, it's a really good choice. I came around to Back to the Future too because It was honestly my third favorite of them because I think they had way too much fun with this. Like, it's convoluted as all get out in this movie. Time travel works this way. And that's Back to the Future too. Like, who gives a shit anymore? It's just up down thing. So I think Biff Tannen. Are we talking the Grandpa Biff Tannen, like the old Biff Tannen? Because he's class act in this one. But when Biff Tannen, like the villainous, like mogul that gets rich from the almanac and stuff like that, I know they're the same person. But yeah, not my favorite thing. But yeah, 3's a little high for me on this, and you picked the wrong one. So everybody else on Biff Tannen from Back to the Future 2.
We're gonna bring up Donald Trump. Like, he's doing a Donald Trump, like, very clearly. Like, I mean, they warned us about it in Back to the Future too, and we were just like, that's ridiculous. Like, look at this heightened, like, stupid, like, can you imagine? And it's like, he's totally.
Don't
just
talk to me about
that.
American politics, Canada boy.
Yeah,
they were open about that though. Like they it's not like, oh, this is my interpretation. It's like you can watch interviews with Zemeckis where they talk about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which is why I think he's a great villain. Just to be clear, all timer. Yeah, you picked the right movie and the right character, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I love the Back to the Future movies. I think they're great. My roommate does not, but whatever. No, at least I'm a better person than him.
Your roommate's weird. Just coming off. I don't know why he hates good movies.
He does. He really does. But no, he also hates Die Hard. But that's not what we're talking about here. I love these movies. I think you picked a solid pick, just not in my favorite villains. But good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, I think this is. I agree with Bar here. I think this is the most villainous, like real villainous that Biff gets, and it's not even like the part. Like, I mean, you got that scene on the roof. But the scene for me is I love what he does with this character. I can't remember the actor's name plays Biff, but that scene where he gives him the almanac and he interacts with his younger self. The way he plays it as the older version of himself, where you just get that sense of, I think it would be for a lot of us what it would really be like if you went back and met your older self or your younger self.
Oh, I would hate my younger self.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, and he carries that so well, like just like disgust and regret. Like he plays. I think that scene is probably, again, I can't remember the name, but that actor's best acting in the entire movie because he played. I mean, there is that part where he's like, "It's Leaf, you idiot!" But through that whole scene, there's just like that layer of like, "Oh, I can't believe this would be. I hate this guy so much." And he does that so well. So again, I think 3 is super high for this. But it was fun to talk about.
Hello, butthead. Yeah. Okay. Jake, what's your 3?
Okay, so you brought up earlier, you said all the movies on your list, and you got scared of a jump scare from Wait Till Dark. This is the one you were talking about, I'm pretty sure, if you actually managed to watch Audition, the 1999 Japanese horror movie. So my pick is Asami Yamazaki from Audition, the femme fatale from this movie, to put it lightly. So I love a movie. I love the horror movie setup where there's a good-hearted character who makes some moral compromise, some small moral compromise, and it ends up biting them in the ass like 1,000 times more than you could have possibly imagined. So the movie is that this guy, his wife dies, and he's extremely sympathetic. He's a good father, and you assume he was a good husband. But he decides to use his position of power as a filmmaker to basically hold an audition for a project that's never going to happen, that's really designed to just find the perfect wife. So he has all these criteria. He's going through all these resumes, and he basically falls for this enigmatic former ballerina who has this backstory about a ballerina injury, and so the whole time she's on screen, you know something isn't right with this character. That's what I love about it. The whole time you're like, something isn't right, because this isn't the romp that the movie's pretending it is. This isn't the romance this movie is pretending it is. So what is it? And the way that the movie shifts tones into like, oh, this is a whole other level than what you could have even thought. And that's what I love so much about this character. He's projecting nice things onto her, like, oh, she's going to be a great mom and a great housekeeper, and she's an artist. And you're projecting all these, oh, what is really going on here? And the truth is so much more horrifying than you could have possibly imagined. And that's what I love about Asami. So thoughts on Asami?
Yeah, this movie is a lot. This movie's a lot to take in.
I'm sorry. Again.
I had the AC on, and I think I was sweating the entire time watching this movie. Like, a lot. I felt nasty after it. This is a lot to take in. Like, this is some graphic stuff. Like, choices.
Yes.
There's a scene that I won't. Just if you want to watch it, there's a scene in this movie that is very eye-opening. Very like, holy shit, they went there. And the casting of it, I will say, I think this is a great choice. If I'm going to be like a villainous choice, like, great choice. Will I ever watch this movie again? Not a chance in hell. But I'm not going to say I hated watching it. I'm glad I watched it to be able to see it. But this is a lot to take in. And her her body language and the stuff that she does in the movie just makes me even more sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Because she does it with the most calm face possible on, and you're just like, fuck. So yeah, horror movie, you're 100% right. This freaked me out in multitudes of ways. I'm glad I watched it early in the morning and watched like RoboCop afterwards. But it is a great choice. But man, that's a movie. That's a movie.
I've seen the one scene from this movie, the infamous scene from this movie, and immediately said, never.
You just watched it out of context?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. Well, that tells me a lot about you. I don't know. That's how you win belts. You just watch clips. That's fucking it.
Yeah, that may be the case.
Don't watch a movie again. Don't watch a movie again, anybody. Just watch clips.
I haven't seen it. I have to be in the right headspace to watch it, I think. Just haven't seen it. Although I'm the person that watched Requiem for a Dream 5 times this year, so maybe.
Thanks.
Do you hate yourself?
Jesus Christ.
Who
are you?
Okay. Kirk.
I haven't seen it. I actually turned the sound down on my speakers or my headset while Jake was talking because I don't want any spoilers because I know generally what this is about. But when it's on my list, so I do get around to watch it. I kind of want to go in fresh. I haven't watched the scene. I know there's scenes. I haven't seen the one you guys are talking about, so I was trying to avoid that. But yeah.
I wasn't going to spoil. I wasn't going to spoil it for anybody. I even did. There was 2 movies on Jake's list that I had to get this subscription called AMC Plus. Didn't know it was a thing. Didn't know it even existed. But this is the only 2 times I can see these. And let me tell you, one, understandable, and we'll talk about the other one later. But yeah, interesting time to be alive. But AMC Plus has its own streaming service. But we're going to Kirk for your 2.
Okay, my number 2 is Christoph Waltz's Hensländer in Inglourious Bastards. Considered the best villain of the 21st century widely, or maybe all time, and deservedly so. One, I think it's because of Waltz's performance. He is just so great in this. Like I say, chewing the scenery in all the best ways. Just his energy he has, how much fun he's having as an actor and as a character. Just that it's a bingo, like this is fun. That kind of stuff is just so great. And what bar?
That's a bingo.
And he's so like just that first scene where he sits down and talks, he's basically just bragging about how good at his job he is. And that's what I love about this character is he's just doing a job. Like he's not a loyal Nazi. He's not out there to promote the Third Reich. He's not out there to, eliminate the Jewish race. He's just, this is his job. This is what he's good at. And he enjoys doing it. He enjoys being good at it. And he's completely out there for himself. He's completely just, it's about him. It's not about Hitler. It's not about Germany. It's about him. And the other thing I love about this character is he's a rare villain in that he is up until the final 30 seconds of this movie, he is in complete control the entire time. Like there is not a moment where he's not 5 steps ahead of everybody else and knows exactly what's going on. I love the scene where they come up with that big plan about going to the movie theater, and it all rests on Germans not being able to understand Italian, and they walk in and talk to him, and immediately he speaks perfect fluent Italian, and it just completely blows their plan out of the water. And just when she tells him about her broken leg, and she says she went skiing, and he just how he busts out laughing because how ridiculous everybody else is to him, just because he's just on another plane of existence. And like I said, he wins this movie. Like he doesn't get to beat. They don't stop his plan. They don't beat him. His plan gets through. Like he's kind of the hero because he beats Hitler, but it's because of his own nefarious things. And he gets the brand on him at the end, but that's very Pyrrhic victory where it's he's already won. He's beaten everybody. Like they never get close to taking him out. And you don't get a lot of villains like that. And plus, on top of that, he's so much fun to watch. Such a great character. And perfect in this movie. He's great.
Yeah, this was also my number 2. I love this movie so much, and a lot of that is because of Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa, and he's just terrifying. When part of this movie I absolutely love. So, am I?
You're breaking up a bit.
You're breaking up a bit.
Am I still? Can you hear me?
You're good now.
Yeah, you're still breaking up.
Oh, yeah.
Did I cut out? Did I cut out?
Leave and come back.
Oh, okay. I'm here. Okay.
No.
God damn it.
Jack, you're now on timeout from wireless until you can get some better Wi-Fi. It should be popping any minute. Dylan, are you talking about Audition?
Yeah,
I didn't hate the movie. I didn't hate the movie.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Go.
Okay, good. I can see him nodding. Okay, good. One of the things I love about this movie that I don't think gets talked about all that much is the first scene happens and it's easily the best scene in the movie, but a little bit later in the movie, like a few years later, Shoshana is sitting at the table with Hans Landa and the other Nazis, and he orders he gets her a glass of milk, and then the second that happens in the movie, I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, oh shit, he knows. He knows who she is. And the whole movie is absolutely incredible, and he's just the best part of every scene that he's in. Like Kirk said, he's in control of absolutely everything until the last 30 seconds of the movie. But oh man, I love Christoph Waltz. I love him as a villain. Perfect villain.
Hans Landa is probably arguably one of the best villains of all time. It's just his performance. That first scene alone is, I think we'll still be talking about 100 years from now. I think it's one of the best things. I'm so excited because Friday I'm going to start my Tarantino watch, my full rewatch of Tarantino, which I'm really excited about because I don't have to play a match anymore. But no, it's just, his performance is just insane. I think everybody gives him a bad rap because he takes this and then he goes and does his next Tarantino is Django, and everybody just says he does this character again, but in Django, but just a little funnier than what he was before. And I don't like that. I don't like that comparison. I think they're kind of different on that. But no, Hans Landa is just the entire switch. Just do you understand English? We'll switch, and then just switches and does it. And throughout the entire thing, yeah, he's just villainous without having just a smile on his face as he does things. It's kind of insane. Hans Landa, was it considered for your list at all? It's Jake and Bar.
So if it wasn't for the fact that I think literally everyone had him on the last Villains episode, I would have absolutely put him on my list. But like, I want to give other people characters shout outs.
Like Robert Shaw 4 times.
Twice. Wow, you are bad at math.
We're not done yet.
I would have included him on my list, but I'm writing something about this movie, and I have a bunch of thoughts about this. Well, one of the thoughts that I just want to throw out is that I think that Brad Pitt and Christoph Waltz's characters represent like these two poles of Tarantino, where Brad Pitt is all violence and aggression, and Christoph Waltz is this master of language, and you kind of need the two for it to be anything, and that's what I think so metatextually interesting about this character anyways.
Okay. All right. We're going to Bar because those are both your twos. So what's your 2, Bar?
All right. We've been talking about some lesser knowns, and now it's time to get into pandering territory. My number 2 is Alonzo Harris from Training Day.
That's textbook pandering.
Sure as shit is. But not really. Okay, Denzel Washington in this role is fucking incredible. He is so intimidating, but when you like first kind of meet him, you're kind of like you don't know how to feel about him. You can't get a good read, and then shit hits the motherfucking fan. Especially with that raid sequence. Oh my god, just the way that he is so in control of everything happening around him, but the steely darkness in his eyes is so terrifying. Just the way that he completely runs his neighborhood just shows you how much more power he has than you actually think. It's not just in the police force, it's just him and the area around him. And the levels that he will go to in order to get what he wants are just so dark and deep. He's an absolutely horrific figure, but played by one of the best actors working today.
Cue the clip.
We already...
That's textbook pandering.
Trying to save your ass. That's right. I think Denzel Washington's an okay actor. I think he's done some good work.
He could get better. He could improve.
Stand by it. Everybody that tells me that this man didn't deserve the Oscar, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself right now. I think he's great. I want more Denzel villains. Like, I need Denzel as a villain more than anything. I've said this before. No one dies like Denzel Washington. I don't think there's anybody that takes as many bullets as him. And this movie always is hilarious because I always like worst days on the job ever. Ethan Hawke guaranteed had to have like one of the worst days ever. on a job. Well, that's before I rewatched RoboCop because pretty sure Murphy had a really shitty day on the police force. But you need to watch that movie. You'll find that reference out what I mean. No, but Alonzo Harris just basically like from where he starts everything, like where he looks at him and goes, "Smoke it." No, get the fuck out of the car. Like, whatever. We're not gonna fucking deal with you. Just move on. Like, gets him and then lets him know later. Like, oh, that was with PCP.
I didn't know you get wet.
You want to what? And like goes on and like how he does the job, the bust inside the house, and then every time Ethan Hawke's like, somebody's got to stop him. Oh, he's got this guy in his back pocket, this guy in his back pocket, And then basically how he just at the end of it, just literally no redemption, no whatever, stands on the car and be like, "You fuckers need me!" Like King Kong on me, just yells it, and then they take him out. But he's so blinded by the power that he has that he doesn't realize anybody can take him down. And like one cop, the one partner that switches, like gets promoted inside to work with him, basically takes him down, which is crazy to me. Yeah, I think Alonzo Harris is a fantastic villain. I understand if a lot of people didn't have this on there. He floats in and out, but yeah, he's definitely a villain. 2 is definitely good, and the pandering works. So good job. It saves you a little bit. I thought Robert Shaw was going to be here though. I thought the alarm. I actually thought the alarm
from How to Steal a Million. Blah 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 blah.
That movie ruins that ruins that movie. So yeah, everybody else on Alonzo Harris.
Yeah, I thought Wayne Brady kind of did it better. So, I'm just kidding. You know the Dave Chappelle, yeah. Yeah, I think this is great. You said that you want more Denzel villains. I kind of think he'd be a good MCU Magneto. That's just my take. I don't know. I know Magneto is.
Jewish,
no! That's textbook pandering.
You want my heart to stop in a theater. That's how you do it. You put Magneto, my favorite villain, with Denzel. That's
he'd be good at it. He played Malcolm X. Like
you're right. I think that would be a fantastic choice. They will never get him.
You somehow pandered to Cody without really knowing Cody. Like, how does that work?
It's not pandering. Me and Cody we have a connection. I don't know.
Oh, Jack's gone again. Oh, Jack, hope you didn't want to be on 40 Enemy because yikes.
I think this is a great character.
Not to even listen.
Shh, hold on, wait. Kirk's talking. Go ahead. And you're still breaking up.
Yeah, I think it's a good character. I agree with you, Cody. I think he takes that. Like Denzel has such a unique energy, and for him to shift that to like a villain is just really fun to see. I just love the mental games he plays with Ethan Hawke's character. Just completely gaslighting him and like playing good cop and bad cop, just back and forth. And the way just that when he forced him to smoke the drugs at the the car at the beginning, and then you realize then the whole time he was setting him up, the whole time he was playing him, and it's just so devious. And like I said, just like the moment let's go, just little Denzel moments sprinkled throughout, but in that just with that evil twist on him, is really solid, really good.
You think they're gonna believe you? Like so much doubt. All right. What is your number 2, Jake?
My number 2 is a doctor. It's a doctor by the name of Otto Octavius from Spider-Man 2.
That's so many layers. So many layers.
So one of my favorite things that any actor could do is just like feel the temperature of a movie and just like know exactly where to hit it. And yeah, it's like Molina was built for Sam Raimi movies. He was built for this role almost. And it's he kind of at the start of the movie fills in the Uncle Ben role in a way and has all this warmth, and he's this beacon of humanity for Peter to connect to, and he's giving him love advice, telling him, oh, women love poetry, and it's so corny and it's so silly, but also him and his wife are also a super hot couple that you like totally believe, and it's genuinely a little painful seeing her go. As cartoonish as the whole thing is, it still works. Like that's the thing about Raimi, I think. You can do all the slapstick in Evil Dead, but the horror still works. I think that he's so good at oscillating between those tones. And I think if you want an example of how good he is, there's scenes where he's having one-way telephone conversations with his arms. We couldn't do it. We shouldn't do it. And it would be wrong if we didn't complete our work. He's talking to his arms, and it's like, good fucking luck finding another actor that can pull that off. And he's also one of the coolest looking villains of all time. And he's got a great theme song. It's got like this mechanical, like, every time he's about to appear on screen, you hear like women screaming, like a classic horror movie. He's got this very universal horror monster thing to him. I just love everything about Doc Ock. So, yeah, this is my thoughts.
So there are some people in this community that hate the Raimi trilogy and think the Raimi trilogy is god awful and is trash and blah blah blah. I am not in that camp. I love these movies. I love the first two. The three, I understand everybody has their problem. Nowhere near the worst movie that has Spider-Man in it. I'm sorry, Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, and that one takes that cake. But Doc Ock is a fantastic villain throughout this movie. I absolutely think Doc Ock. I also love, this is totally doesn't relate to anything, how much he doesn't give a shit about stuff. Like, he's now in the Spider-Man movie and has went on interviews, and like Feige wants to keep it secret. He's like, great to play the part again. I'm supposed to keep that hush hush, but like, he doesn't give a shit. So it just made it even more for me. But no, just his turn, how he gets it, and how insane the arms actually make him, which Doc Ock is one of my favorite villains. Spider-Man's one of my favorite superheroes. And just to see that live on screen, Spider-Man 2 kind of ruined Spider-Man in general, because now, like, the train sequence was such the coolest thing ever, and now he has to stop everything or put it together and like hold it, and they're like, oh, Spider-Man 2 just doing the same thing, because how much can a web slinger like really do to save stuff besides stop fast things from moving? No, but I love that when they're like when he's like, if you want him, you'll have to go through us, and he like puts the arm and slams them all against. Is like, okay, fine with me if you want to do it that way. So yeah, he's a great villain. Don't think he gets enough credit for being one of the top villains, but I think I put him up there with Ian McKellen's Magneto and the Joker and stuff like that. I think he's a fantastic villain. Everybody else on Doc Ock?
I kind of fall in the middle when it comes to the Raimi Spider-Man films that I've seen. I will say that Alfred Molina is fantastic, though.
That you've seen?
I haven't seen all three of them.
That doesn't surprise me.
Go ahead, Jack. Jack, you go ahead on this one.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, no, I really like the first one. I really, really like the second one. I think the first two are incredible. And then I fucking hate the third one. Least favorite Marvel movie ever. I hate it.
Oh.
Anyways, Doc Ock is great.
That is such a trash opinion. If it's the worst Marvel movie, watch Elektra. God bless America.
He's definitely Doc Ock is definitely the best villain of this trilogy. Molina gives a pretty good performance. I love the ending. The ending's really good. I like his redemption at the end. Hey, Cody, redeemed villain doesn't count.
True.
Sorry, Jake. But yeah, what does kill it for me is you want to get a woman to love you. Read her poetry, like that kind of stuff. It's just so hokey and cheesy. I can't stand that.
I love it.
I'm really not a big fan of the idea of like the arms controlling him. I never like that. The scenes with the arms like talking to him, I think, are kind of hokey. I just wish they would have went in a different direction. I think it makes
totally hokey.
I think it gives him as a character too easy and out. But yeah, my biggest problem with this, though, it's not Doc Ock's villain, but let's talk about the fact they're doing an experiment where they're going to try to harness and recreate the power of the sun. Where do you want to do that? Should we go out maybe like the desert or something and do that? Let's do it in an apartment in one of the most heavily populated cities on the planet. That sounds like a good idea.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We're going to bring the sun into Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be a devastating mistake, though, if they bring Molina back into the MCU and he's a villain again. I think at this point you can't.
I think,
you can't go
I think
back.
they are.
All those appearances are going to be just wham bam cameos. They're going to be going
Probably,
through multiverses.
yeah.
They're going to pop up for 5 seconds and then that's going to be it. They're not going to be like central to the story at all.
You're definitely right. It's a PR thing.
Yeah.
Come back in a few months, folks, when they're proven wrong.
Count me in. Next week on the YLS, things that should happen in Spider-Man, the next movie. Okay,
Jake,
we're gonna go to your number one, Kirk.
My number one it was Jake's before. It is J.K. Simmons as Terrence Fletcher in Whiplash. I've said this before about when talking about this movie. Great villains are villains who believe they're doing the right thing. Even better villains are villains who convince you that maybe they're doing the right thing. And that is what is so great about this character. The fact that he's pushing Miles Teller's character so hard and being so abusive and so cruel. But he's that scene at the end. That scene just is burned into my head. That smile at the end where after everything he went through, he got him there. No matter what it took, he got him to the place he wanted to be at. And just little things like that scene when they first meet, and he's like, I was like, oh, tell me about your family, blah blah blah. And then he goes into the room and like immediately uses everything he told him against him. It's like, oh, your mommy left, blah blah blah. And it's just so cruel and so evil. And again, like talking about Nurse Ratched, like somebody in this position who's like molding the lives and the understanding of the world of young people at a very like difficult and important time in their lives. And for him to be that way is so wrong. But at the same time, that speech where he's like the two most dangerous words in the English language are "good job." And it's like he's not wrong. My son this year he started playing band for school. He started playing saxophone, and I'll listen to him practice, and I'll hear him miss. I hear him miss a couple notes. I'm like, do I need to go throw a chair at his head? Do I need to throw a symbol at his head to get him back on track? He'll come. My son comes to me. He listens to Charlie Parker. I'm like, oh, you want to be like Charlie Parker? We're gonna go watch Whiplash. You go see what it takes to be like Charlie Parker. But it's just so. Like I said, this performance says me. There are villains who have done worse things, who have been more evil, who have committed more atrocities. But there's never been a villain performance who has affected me and impacted me and stayed with me the way Terrence Fletcher does Whiplash. That's why he's my number one.
Who else had it?
Jack.
I had it as my number 6. And I echo everything that Kirk just said. And he's absolutely incredible. I love J.K. He deserved that Oscar. Also, I can't remember his name in Oz. I don't know how he broke out, but he did, and he changed his name to Terrence Fletcher. I'm pretty sure that's something Cody said on the show a while ago. But, oh boy, he's incredible in this movie. I honestly, you can't have in my opinion, you can't have like top 10 villains of the past 20 years and not include him in the top 3. He's absolutely incredible. Or top 5. But no, I love this movie. J.K. Simmons is great.
Yeah, I've said it numerous times. He plays Vern Schillinger in Oz, and it's not neo-Nazi, so let's not. But the intensity of that character, he definitely stems from, I think, there. This is always a movie that I will like enjoy watching, but it's never going to become one of my favorites of all time. And I think it's just because, like, I love his performance, but the overall movie, the overall thing about it, it's just maybe just too much music, like classic. Like, I don't care about you banging on the drums that much. I don't know. It's a weird take for me, but I'm not in love with the movie as much as everybody else. No, but the first time I was sitting at home watching it, because I didn't get a chance to see it in the theater because I've heard so much about it, and he delivers that slap the first time, and I went, the fuck am I? Whoa. And like sat with me and just continues his like aggression. And then even when his calm moments, that smile, because you're right, he got him there. That's all. He didn't care anymore. He's there. And then when you see the good job line, I think it's 100% correct. Like, he's not wrong. There are so many people in this world that get told good job, go in the wrong direction, and their whole life is skewed by that. Like they're not, maybe they're not the best at it. Like I always tell my kids that sing, they're like, "Am I a good singer?" I'm like, "Listen, if I'm a dad and I'm going to be honest with you, no, not really. But you have fun singing your heart out." Because there's people that pursue careers and think they're great at it because mommy and dad told them you did a good job singing. Oh, you're kind of tone deaf. Pick up an instrument, try that. But just his character, because I understand his motives, but he just doesn't relent and doesn't stop. And like, it's not just to Miles, it's to everybody in them. Like, I mean, he doesn't give a shit that much about the flute players over there or whatever because he doesn't throw shit at them that we see in the film. But like, just the other guy, they keep flip flopping out, and like he knows what he can do just to get under his skin. It's the villains that hit the hardest for me always will be the villains that like I've seen play out in real life, because I haven't seen that in the music aspect, but I've seen that as a football coach. I've seen that as an assistant, as a defensive coordinator. Like I've seen that play out, like the stuff that teacher would never have a job in today's society, but has lived out. So when you see that real out there, it's great choice. I can't argue with you. And number one definitely deserves it. Everybody else on Fletcher.
Once again, it was just one of those where multiple people brought him up in the last episode of villains, so I didn't.
You've seen it though, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Now tell us how Quint from Jaws is the #1 villain of all time.
So I had.
Oh, this job's getting real still.
Nope. It's.
I always hated music class. Like I don't like playing an instrument. I played the trombone, and I had a music teacher who I watched this with my friend in the 8th grade, and we weren't in the 8th grade, but our music teacher in the 8th grade, and it was like, yeah, that is our music teacher exactly. And I respected the guy. I respected how mean he was to me about refusing to learn how to play the trombone and just using it to hit people with the fucking sliding thing. But yeah, so it read very true to me as someone who has no musical aspirations at all.
He broke that in you. Okay, Jack, what's your one? Actually, pause. Okay, you did pause. I'm just making sure because you're on a delay. Jake, go next.
My #1?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
No, pause. Jack, don't say a word. Shush. Just wait. Jake, go now, please.
Okay, so my #1 of all time is from my favorite movie of all time, the Phantom of the Paradise. It's Swan, played by Paul Williams, the musician, probably best known for Rainbow Connection. He wrote that song, but he popped up in all kinds of cameos. Like he was in The Love Boat. He was in Starsky and Hutch, I'm pretty sure. He popped up and he's this basically this like 5'2" little blonde man. You may have seen him as the butcher in the Edgar Wright movie,
Baby Driver.
Right. So he plays the character of Swan, who's basically Phil Spector meets the devil before Phil Spector was a murderer or whatever, right? It's a Brian De Palma movie, so it's obsessed with voyeurism. And just to get it out of the way quick, I guess my favorite scene of Swan walks around with the most swagger in the world, even though he, on paper, you would see him as the least sexual man alive. He acts like he's some sort of Adonis, and he plays it so sincerely. He delights in being evil. It's so funny. It's every time I watch it, it's hysterical. Paul Williams also wrote all the music in the movie, so every time he says a song is great, there's a little bit of this glint in his eye that yeah, I wrote that. Like, so my favorite scene in the movie, since De Palma's obsessed with voyeurism, there's a scene where Swan is cucking our hero, and our hero. We see our hero watching Swan, and then we see Swan on a monitor watching our hero watching him while he's sleeping with the girl that he likes. And I just think that sums Swan up to a T. And yeah, I love this character.
I thought that I could be a Brian De Palma like super fan at one point. This movie has finally ruined that. There's not a shot.
Oh no, don't! I can't.
This movie's bad. This movie's awful. I'm sorry. I mean this is all due respect. So there's a thing of this movie, this show that called Not Cody Movies. You hit one. You hit it right out of the park. This is not a Cody movie. From the first 15 minutes, I was just like, nope. Not gonna like this. And I tried and I stayed with it. And no, I watched the whole thing. It's just too fucking weird and too out there for me. Like there's just too much going on. And I understand it's your favorite movie of all time. This is your favorite movie. I'm terrified. I am terrified that this is number one because there are some movies that you need to watch. I rented AMC Plus for this, and Audition was fine. This movie, not so much. This movie is just fucking weird, man. It's fucking weird. It's fucking out there. So, hats off to you. But I'm sorry. Anybody else seen this movie?
This is one I've been wanting to see out of pure curiosity. I've known about it for a long time. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
I thought for sure this would be the one Bar saw. I'll tell you what. I know it's not going to help Jake out win the show at all, but this is a ballsy pick. It's maybe the ballsiest pick I've ever seen on the show.
Yeah.
This is I mean I just added the movie to my watch list. He piqued my curiosity. I've heard about it. I didn't know much about it, but I'm going to check it out. So
I don't know. This does seem like a Kirk movie.
Yeah.
You're terrible.
It's a very special movie, I think. You gotta. It's 2 years before Rocky Horror, but it feels in that register, sort of.
Okay, Jack, are you with us?
Nope. I'm gonna start Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna start a note of movies I should never watch, and this just made the list.
I think I'm going to start a list on Letterboxd of all movies that I watched for this show, and just and rank them as they come in. I'll start that this week. Every movie that I saw this week will go on there. But I'm including RoboCop, even though I say it again, but I have a new appreciation for it. Okay, since Jack's internet's trash, and Bar and Jack share the same number one, I'm going to let Bar talk about it, and then I'm going to let the internet catch up for Jack to talk about it. So, Bar, what's your number one of all time?
My number one is Eamon Goeth from Schindler's List. It's just, first of all, Ralph Fiennes' performance in this is fucking incredible. There are so many moments in this, like when you first see him and it's like, oh, he's a human. He's got a cold. And then you see the darkness in his performance, and it is rough. Like the fact that he will just shoot people from his house just for the sake of doing it, just to put all these people in fears for that ounce of power that he can get. Yikes. Terrifying. And the most interesting scene in this, actually, to me, is the I pardon you sequence, where he had this entire speech about like power, and Schindler's talking about what real power is. And he's going around trying to be that guy. And then at one point, after pardoning this one person, he looks in the mirror and he's trying to say it to himself, and he can't do it. And then he shoots them. It's just such a layered performance for a really fascinating character, but such an evil person.
Jack.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes. Yes, Tommy.
Okay. Yes, this is my number one movie villain of all time. Everything Bar said is 100% true. His performance is absolutely incredible. Schindler's List is up there for the greatest movie of all time for me. And again, I've said this before, a lot of that comes from the villain, and that's Ray Fiennes. And he's every single second he's on screen just makes my skin crawl. One of the things that stuck out to me the first time I saw this movie was when you first see him shooting the people from his balcony. Literally wakes up, grabs his rifle, shoots 3 people, and then goes and takes his morning piss. But that whole sequence is terrifying. Every single second he's on screen, you're afraid of what he might do. No, he's absolutely incredible. I personally think he should have won the Oscar that year, but again, the Tommy Lee Jones is absolutely incredible. So I mean, it's a win-win. But I think he should have won. I love this movie. I hate him in it, and he's just an incredible movie villain.
So there are movies that come out that you appreciate, you put on the pedestal, and you just have to watch again. Schindler's List is one of those for me. I was about to start it, but then again, I don't really want my take of watching it again to be for YLS, to be honest with you, unless it was like a top 100. I think overall, like, the movie's incredible. Like, I understand that. And I think he is, you're 100% right, villain-wise. It's just hard for me to go back and watch it. So when people say that's, like, favorite movie of all time, it's just so weird to me. Like, I understand that, but, like, I couldn't watch my favorite movie of all time has to have something like, I think just the Holocaust is one of the darkest moments in the world's history, and I don't really like to relive that in black and white, even though it's a great, well done film. And he's honestly a ruthless motherfucker in this movie. Like, there's no easy way to say it. He's awful. I don't blame you for having it. I don't blame you for doing it. It's just, I'm gonna rewatch it. It's gonna be, but I just didn't want to today, right before YLS. Not a good upper mover for everybody. Everybody else, how close was this to making your list?
For me, well, go ahead, Jake.
This. If I was gonna put a Nazi on the list, I probably would have put Christoph Waltz. But this is a great pick. I think that the thing that's really special about this performance is that he finds some humanity in this character, even though without ever softening the evil. And I think that's what's so special about the whole movie, is that Spielberg finds moments of levity and even like comedy in this terrible thing without ever losing how awful it is. And you can just look at all the films that have tried to mix any sort of comedy into, or lightheartedness into the Holocaust, and it just never works. And Spielberg, he makes it work. I think it's a great character and a great pick. It's probably the best villain. You're probably correct.
Jake, watch To Be or Not to Be. I would say with this villain, this is a honestly, for me, it came down between Epps from 12 Years a Slave and this character. I've just putting them both on the list was too much reality for me. But I don't default to pick. The only reason I went with the one I did is because I assumed this would be on somebody else's list and get talked about, much more likely than my character. But no, he's just awful in this. And just like the end he comes to, how he's completely unredeemed, and just, he just does not back down an inch, and he completely believes in what he's doing. Just a horror, and he just a great, like, capsulization of the Nazis and of of the Holocaust. Like if you put all that in everything that happened into one person, I think that's a really good interpretation of it. This movie.
Okay, so we've reached the ending. Thank you all for being on. Time to get out some grades for everybody. So first place, if he didn't say a really stupid line at the beginning of this film, he'd probably have one of the highest grades that has ever been achieved on this show. But it's Kirk Polakowski. It's an A-.
Oh, what a shock!
I'm sorry, he picked actual villains. It made sense. And actually, when he went,
He also wins like 95% of the time he's on. So,
what's that tell you? Good at this.
Got good taste. I think the only downside on it would have been the Robin Williams' best favorite performance, and then putting Death to Smoochie on there. But it was 9, so that's the only thing that hurts you.
I can't wait for you to eventually get a room.
Well, man, you just keep talking, so grades are changing. Second place is B-, and that is Jack Pinchuk. Isn't it sucked? But he didn't say stupid things and continue to say stupid things. Guest on Terrence Fletcher hit Silver, which I agree. John Doe, I don't know, but Joker hit Joker, Hans Landa, and so good choice there. And then, fuck it, he pissed me off. I'm not gonna. Jake gets third place. Jake gets a C-. You maybe had 2 of the movies that I will hope to never watch again in my entire life, and you had David from Alien Covenant, but you weren't a dickhead to me and Kirk, so fair enough. And last place, the D+ goes to Bar.
D+? Wow.
Yeah, well, D- keeps falling. I don't know if I can go lower than F. I keep talking Cam. Wrote terrible choice. Lonesome Roads, aka Bar. So that's interesting there. The combined list for the best movie villains of all time are. Did he make that list? Did he make it graphic? He did. Okay, Nurse Ratched. I'm not going to butcher half these things. Biff Tannen, Bill the Butcher, the Joker, Doc Ock, Alonzo. You see it. And yeah, 2 people having a number 1. Of course, Schindler's List will take the win. I did a correct list this week. An interesting choice. Don't put it up there yet. Did you? You did already. So yeah, we'll do that. Night of the Hunter. I think the guy from Night of the Hunter. I think I did some not some on the nose ones, so check out.
I almost picked up
Night of the Hunter, great choice. Leon the Professional. I'm losing all these character names. I wish Koho to put up for me. But you're good. Gary Oldman's character in Leon Professional. I think he's absolutely over the top and crazy in this movie, and I love it. The girl from Double Indemnity. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she literally convinces him to kill someone for her.
Barbara Stanwyck.
Yeah, Barbara Stanwyck. Yeah. Definitely just, and that was my Jenny pick for this week. Convince somebody to kill it. Frank Costello in The Departed. Kathy Bates' Misery. That's a great choice. I don't know why anybody had that. I picked the Warden from Shawshank Redemption when he tells you feel like you've been fucked by a train. Listen, that's just, and how he takes care. He's one of the most ruthless people. Calvin Candy in Django Unchained. Surprised didn't have any on anybody's list. Hans Landa. Of course, in Inglourious Basterds, Scar in Lion King, and then my final one would be Anthony Hopkins as Anthony. Wow, I can't talk. Hannibal
Lecter.
Silence of the Lambs. That would be the top list that I would think. And there's some objectively you can go back and forth. Maggie could have been on there. There's a lot. Next week we're doing crime comedies with Boatman. I will not be there, but I am doing the movie giveaway. So I will show up at the end of the show and give away a movie. I will spin all 50 names that were, I think we had like 55 that were thing, and they will get a movie of your choice, 2 of them. And we'll be in contact for that. Show up in the chat. So if you're watching the 3, show up in the chat so you can claim your prize, because I'll give it like 2 minutes and then I'll move on. And then movies that should be remade that were outside the United States, that moved into the United States, that were shot in Hawaii, that weared suede shoes and had, I think, 3 female leads in it. I'm not sure, but that's Barr has a lot of criteria that he has to have to do remade. So I message him, he'll send you a novel. And then August 4th through August 25th, we're doing top animated movies of all time. We'll get Boatman again. He'll return. It's top 40 series. So if you have a list of top 40 animated, send it. And if you have a topic that you want to hear discussed on the show, please send it to me. Me, Kirk, we have two of us that are pretty good at figuring out who's good for that show, and we can work around that. And then another top 40 series. I'm looking for another top 40 series. It won't be this year, but it will be next year. But I'm interested to see. I want to try to do maybe 1 or 2 next year. So send me your list on those. And if you're working on a top 100 series, Kirk Kolakowski will take those anytime you have them, because the sooner he can pick a panel, the sooner he can start watching movies and get ready to go. So
I have been asked, have we set a deadline for those yet? Like, when do those have to be
I think he has it in the banners. I'm not sure. He may have deleted it, though. I think it's so September 15th. So we're going to cut that off on August 1st.
That's fair.
Maybe August 15th to give a month in between, but to send those in, but finalize those. You have right now to do it. So just send them in so we can get everybody working on them. But yeah, thanks everybody. Jake, thanks for being on the show. You're great. I hope you return. You were a fantastic panelist.
Oh yeah, I'm on the crime comedies next week. So
sweet, awesome. That'll be great. Jack, get better internet, bar, watch movies, and Kirk, keep doing what you're doing because you're great at it. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you, Koho, for helping me out.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Now what will it be? Death or exile?
You're hopeless. You're a hopeless mental case.
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Normally, I would say Auf Wiedersehen. But since what Auf Wiedersehen actually means is till I see you again, and since I never wish to see you again, to you, sir, I say goodbye.